I'd like to call this meeting of the Coweta County Board of Commissioners public hearing and regular meeting session. Please stop your talking, please, so we can go ahead and get our meeting started here. Again, I say I'd like to call this meeting to order with the Coweta County Board of Commissioners public hearing regular meeting session August the 19th, 2025. I would remind you that if anyone wishes to address the board, they will be afforded 3 minutes at the appropriate time based on the meeting rules. Please be mindful of your time to give others an opportunity to also address the board. At this time, I'd ask that you stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation by Commissioner Smith to follow. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious God, the maker and creator of all things, Lord, we pause now to invoke your Holy Spirit into this meeting, into our discussions, into our thoughts, even into our needs. Help us, Lord, to always remember that you are everything that we really need. Thank you for the life, the breath of life, and the bread of life, and the blood that is running warm through our veins. Help us, Lord, to learn to appreciate one another, to love one another, to respect one another. The same way that you do, we ask. This is our prayer, and we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, and you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that we have a packed house tonight, and we welcome you to your Board of Commissioners meeting. The only thing that I would just ask is that we need to be able to hear what is being said to us, and if you would just sort of hold your individual conversations down, and then when it's time for us to hear from you, then we will respectfully receive that information. And we thank you again for being here tonight. At this time, I'm going to make you aware that the rules governing the commission meeting are available on the county's website, and they're also on the table in the lobby located outside the meeting room doors. And it is my understanding that those of you that were not able to get a seat can see the monitors in the hallway out there. No? Yes? I see one head shaking no. There are.
It says it's a home screen.
Okay, but they're showing what you're seeing here? Okay, thank you. Are there any announcements or comments from the commissioners at this time?
Can I just appreciate everyone who's here? We are just marveling at the participation from the public, because we want, this is encouraging to us to see how many people are interested in what's going on in the county. So we appreciate your presence tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. As we go into regular session, we have awards and presentations. Tonight, our spotlight is on Parks and Recreation, and I call upon the Department Director, Mr. Jim Gay, to present his information to us.
Good evening, Board. I appreciate the opportunity to highlight Parks and Recreation here before you today. I'll be brief. I know there's a lot on the agenda, and we've got a lot to cover too, but I'll just kind of breeze through it, and if anybody has any questions, they can feel free to reach out to me online, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. For those that don't know, our department is really split into two divisions. The first being Event Services, which oversees all the community centers, the fairgrounds complex. They also have a few other duties that they serve, including right-of-way approvals, and Trey Baggerly, who's our division director of Event Services, also oversees our Camera Ready program for Coweta County. He does a tremendous job. anybody coming looking to film, finding locations, working them through the process. It's been kind of slow lately, but I expect it to pick up at some point. So that's event services. That's their function in our department. The second function is recreational programs. Recreational programs provides organized activities for our citizens of all ages, from small children all the way up to our senior services. It falls under Parks and Recreation. Just a few recent highlights from Parks and Recreation. I'll try to hit on each one from each section, but our summer programs with Parks and Rec, we offered over 40 camps and activities this summer, ranging from anything from baseball to metal detecting. Our objective in the summer is to try to highlight everything we offer in the county, whether that be from an association or from a Parks and Recreation program, but also expose the youth of our community and even some adults to other things that they might be able to enjoy. So really proud of them. In addition to that, they also went out and participated in 5 events in the community: library summer kickoffs, backpack giveaways. We bring a lot of staff in for the summer, mostly college students, so we try to get them out in the community and instill those values in them, because down the road they may want to come back and have a career in Parks and Recreation. So in addition to that, Parks and Rec also ran a youth flag league this summer. Many years ago, we didn't really offer any organized programs in the summer. We wanted to keep kids active, so we've seen that program grow steadily. We have a girls league now too, so over 300 participated this summer in that program. Keeps the kids active, keeps them off the devices, so any opportunities we can create in that summertime, our staff did a tremendous job this year with that, so very proud of them. Event services, we've brought to you guys over the past few months several things, including rental fee increases and other things to kind of improve the service of those facilities and offset some of the cost. One of the big things that our staff pointed out to us was just the requests they had for weekend rentals. And historically, we had never really gone beyond 1 rental per weekend. And I put this on here because I was really nervous about this, because there's a lot that can go wrong. Working with our facilities team and our code enforcement team, we've been able to successfully implement that. Created almost 110 opportunities per year, additional weekend opportunities. And those facilities are used for anything from baby showers to birthday parties to 80th birthday, you name it, it's probably been held there. So they're a real resource for our local families, and just being able to provide a few more of those, was a feather in the cap of our event services team. So we appreciate that and the hard work they put in. From our senior services, they've done a really good job of, we've moved some programs off-site, off the Tommy Thompson Senior Activity Center. A lot of that is, we're offering programs in different locations, but they've really out-programmed the facility. They've done a tremendous job offering a variety of educational courses. I know the Sheriff's Department has came in and done a lot of informational things, to scams, to cell phone classes. So we appreciate that. Senior Services now offers programs at Tommy Thompson, but also Madras, Cannon Gate, and Leroy H. Johnson facilities. So they've done a really good job. And we also in June had I guess it would be our first senior luncheon of the year. Served over 700 seniors over a period of 2 days. We appreciate the Coweta County Prison, as always, for providing the food and the dishes and everything else that goes along with it, and also all the county employees that came out to help us serve. So, a few things that we're working on internally. Starting with Parks and Recreation, we're heading into our indoor sports season, which means we'll have girls volleyball starting. The day that it ends, basketball will start, and then when basketball ends, spring volleyball starts. So those sports are a little harder to program because you're using indoor facilities. They're more limited. Our staff is, last year towards the end, we took every kid that made registration by the deadline, but it was kind of hard to take on some that came a little bit later. This year we've made some changes in-house that hopefully we don't turn anybody away for any reason. We're looking forward to that. We want to have some of the biggest programs we can and make sure we serve all of our residents. So our staff, we're really excited about that. It's fun to hear your staff talking about the numbers they want to hit and how many kids they want to have involved, and just seeing that motivation for them was exciting to me and encouraging. So when it comes to our facilities, we years ago we went down the road of introducing a software program. We were registering our kids on paper, actually the same form that I probably registered on as a kid. We we implemented a software, Civic Rec. It's been great for our youth programs and recreational programs, but we found some deficiencies in the rental process and, providing a front-end user for renting facilities. Our facilities are pretty complicated for what the software can maintain. So we're hopeful that with some of the changes, the fee increases, and also the being able to rent those more often on the weekends on the popular dates, that we're able to eventually pursue some better software so that the citizens have a better storefront they can utilize to reserve facilities. We've noticed that most of the calls we get are on the weekend. Families are sitting around talking about an event on a Saturday. They call and leave a voicemail. Our objective is to hopefully down the road implement something where they can actually go on and see what's available and reserve that facility from from a phone or iPad. So coming up, fall sports are underway. It's one of our busier times of the year. Our association athletics, most of them have already started. Tackle football started this week too. We're one of the few counties in the state that offers Parks and Recreation tackle football that only plays Parks and Recreation teams. I think there's maybe 4 other groups we know about. There's probably more, but we're really proud of that. Every year we have to do a really big push for youth tackle football, but we feel there's a value of keeping that going. We're registering for youth futsal, volleyball, and our art programs. And then anybody that's interested in our senior programs, this Friday we have a concert at Tommy Thompson Senior Activity Center, and I believe there's bingo too. So if you're interested in, or you have a family member and you want to come, it's a good time to come this Friday. So, and also the fairgrounds event services, we're getting ready for the Coweta Fair, which will be on September 18th through the 25th. So we look forward to seeing everybody out there for that. And appreciate you guys' time. Appreciate everything you do. And if anybody has any questions, we're easy to find online. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Also, Jim, please tell your staff that we as commissioners really appreciate the work that you do, not only with children and young people, but with our seniors and so forth. I get to enjoy some of that because I am one. So, and I like to attend those things. And what I'm hearing is great things. And I just hope that we can continue to do even better things and bigger things as we go forward. Thank you again for what you do and your staff. At this time, item number 2 is to request approval of the minutes of the public hearing / regular session meeting held on August the 5th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
I have a motion, second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Under our consent agenda, we have some proclamations that we would like to hand out at this time, and I would like to know if Mr. Bill Johnson is in the audience, and if so, Mr. Johnson, would you come up to the podium? And I have the honor and the pleasure to read this proclamation because for 32 and a half years of my life, I worked with this organization because I was the animal control at that time. It's animal services, but I was the director at that time and also the warden, and we always had a very understanding group to work with, and I worked with many on the Newnan Coweta Humane Society. So I would like to read this proclamation. Whereas the Newnan Coweta Humane Society, also known as NCHS, was formed in 1975 in Coweta County with the vision that one day all adoptable pets will find a safe, loving home while promoting the importance of spay and neuter practices to end pet overpopulation. And whereas for over 50 years, NCHS has played a vital role in our community, rescuing and improving the lives of countless animals, assisting thousands of families in need with pet food and medical support to properly care for their pets, sponsoring and funding extensive spay-neuter programs, and conducting numerous humane animal treatment educational programs throughout Coweta County, schools and churches. And whereas NCHS was instrumental in helping establish Coweta County Animal Services and continues to collaborate with them in a supportive working relationship, providing assistance for sick, injured, newborn animals requiring specialized care. And whereas NCHS has fostered a culture of community involvement and volunteerism throughout Coweta County in support of animal welfare. And whereas on September the 6th, 2025, NCHS will commemorate its 50th anniversary and honor the many volunteers and community partners who have helped shape and sustain its mission. Now therefore be it resolved that the Coweta County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims September the 6th, 2025 as Noonan Coweta Humane Society Day, and urges all members of the community to join in celebrating this milestone and supporting their ongoing mission, ensuring care and protection of animals. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And I have a second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. And it is so proclaimed. I'll give you an opportunity if you would like to say anything, sir, and I have a proclamation we'd like to present to you.
One, we thank you very much for the proclamation. I'd just like to recognize, for not everybody knows who we are, we're a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization. I've only been with the organization 2 years, but the people that have been with us for over 50 years have really kept the thing going. And when you consider, as I said, it's all volunteer. We run on donations and fundraisers, that's all it is. And so, I mean, but we try to serve the community. We have a pet pantry once a month that feeds pets for families that can't afford to feed the pets and properly take care of them. We provide medicine as well. So again, we're very proud of the organization. I'm very proud of the organization, and we're also proud of the organization, our relationship with Coweta County Animal Services. So we thank you for the recognition.
I'd like to get a picture of a tent. Warden, you're all right, go ahead. If you want to go to the microphone right there. Oh, you good here? Okay. Oh, sorry. That was what
Looks look good from here.
Lieutenant Bush and Mr. Brown.
Good evening, gentlemen, everybody here. I'll be very brief. I just want to congratulate NCHS for 50 years. I would say I've only been serving for a warden for a few months now, but it's been quickly evident to me how passionate folks are about their animals. And I'll tell you, nobody's more passionate than Noonan Coweta Humane Society. So I, along with the staff at the Prison and Animal Services, appreciate their partnership and support. I want to say thank you for their support of the years. Miss Linda Earhart especially, I'll say when I first came to the Animal Services, I thought she was an employee because she's there so often. So we appreciate you. Also with me tonight is Lieutenant Bush and Miss Bradley. Lieutenant Bush is over our animal control officers. Miss Bradley is our shelter coordinator. They do a lot for Coweta County. Unfortunately, there's no shortage of irresponsible pet owners, and it's a tough job, and they keep their chin up and they keep plowing ahead, and I appreciate them. And again, thank you again for all your years of service. I look forward to many more years, and we're just getting the job started now. So thank y'all very much. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
We also have the confirmation, execution of a proclamation designating Sanford Cousins Day in Coweta County. Can I ask for a motion on this? I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, it passes unanimously. And I understand that no one from the Sanford Cousins family is here. If they are, it's my understanding that they could not be here tonight to receive that proclamation. And we'll get that to them. Moving on, we're into our supplemental and non-agenda items. Commissioners, staff, attorney, are y'all aware of any supplemental or non-agenda items that we need to add?
Mr. Chairman, there has been one item added to the supplemental, and that is a request from the town of Moreland for assistance with signage.
Okay. And that'll be item number 22, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the addition of item 22.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Now we're going into our public hearings, and item number 5 is a public hearing regarding a new packaged beer and wine license application filed by Amin Marana in operation of Chevron Food Mart, AKS Partners USA Incorporated, located at 870 East Highway 16, Newnan in District 2. And I understand our business license associate, Ms. Joy Thompson, is going to make that presentation.
Good evening. Mr. Marani is the sole owner and licensed representative for the Chevron Food Mart located at 870 East Highway 16 in Newnan. He has applied for a 2025 packaged beer and wine license. The business has been in continuous operation as a convenience store since 2003. The location previously held an active alcohol license within the past 12 months under Max Market. Therefore, a land survey distance certificate is not required. The Business and Alcohol License Division has completed its review and determined that the application and the license representative meet all required standards. Staff recommends the board consider the application in accordance with Article 6, Section 6-54 of the Coweta County Code of Ordinances, which outlines the factors the board should evaluate when approving an alcohol license. In addition to the standard requirements, staff also requests that the application obtain final approval from the Georgia Department of Revenue, the County Fire Marshal, and the Community Development Divisions prior to the license being issued. Mr. Marani is present this evening, but he does not wish to address the board unless you have questions.
All right. And we'll call for any comments in support or in opposition to the proposed alcohol license.
Mr. Chairman, there's no individuals in support or opposition of this public hearing.
All right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing? I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of closing public hearing, say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. I would like to make the motion to approve this new packaged beer and wine license application.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any
Mr. Chairman.
further discussion?
I apologize. Does that include the 2 conditions recommended by staff?
Yes, that does, and I'm sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
As presented by staff.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Item number 6 is a public hearing regarding petition REZ 25-05 filed by Freedom Land Holdings LLC requesting to rezone property located at Mary Freeman Road, Lower Fayetteville Road, and Covey Trail, Newnan, District 1. Our zoning associate, Ms. Nicole Blackwell, will make the presentation.
Good evening. The applicant Freedom Land Holdings LLC is requesting a rezoning under petition 2505. They are seeking to rezone the property located at Mary Freeman Road, Lower Fayetteville Road, and Kobe Trail from RC Rural Conservation to RPDP Residential Plan Development Project. This request is to allow for a single-family subdivision consisting of both single-family detached homes and fee-simple townhomes. Here you can see the location of the subject property relative to Mary Freeman, Lower Fayetteville Road, and Kobe Trail. Kobe Trail is a subdivision street for the Quail Ridge subdivision. The subject property is approximately 101.36 acres and is zoned RC Rural Conservation. Most of the surrounding area is also zoned RC, except for the adjacent properties located within the city of Newnan, which are shaded blue on this map. The city of Newnan borders the subject property to the north, west, and south, and contains high-density residential development, including both single-family homes and townhomes. Given the site's proximity to the city of Newnan, the applicant is proposing the RPDP overlay to support a 329-lot residential subdivision.
Please hold your comments down, ladies and gentlemen. We need to be able to hear what's going on.
The site plan submitted by the applicant proposes a development of 329 lots comprised of 166 single-family detached homes, these right here on the right side, and 163 townhomes located within a gated section of the community. There are 3 proposed access points to this neighborhood, 1 on Mary Freeman and 2 on Lower Fayetteville, one of which is Kobe Trail, a subdivision street within the Quail Ridge neighborhood. While not a requirement of the RPDP, the applicant has proposed a buffer around the perimeter of the development, predominantly at 50 feet, with a smaller section at 25 feet east of Road E. So 50 feet pretty much all the way around except for this section right here, which is by Road E on the site plan. Level Drive, an existing access easement serving neighboring properties, runs through a portion of the northwestern buffer. There's an access easement right here called Level Drive, running through the buffer. A 20-foot access easement is proposed over the existing portion of Level Drive that runs through the buffer to ensure continued access for neighboring properties. Additional site features include an amenity area and three walking trail segments, one of which is designed to connect all three key areas of development: the amenity area, the townhomes, and the single-family homes. These are renderings of the townhomes submitted by the applicant. They include both front entry and rear entry townhomes. The applicant also provided a variety of proposed single-family home elevations. According to this proposed site plan, the development will occur in 7 phases. 4 phases for the single-family homes and 3 for the townhome section. While the plan outlines the residential phases, there's no mention of timing for the construction of the main amenity area or the proposed walking trails. The proposed amenities include a playground, a dog park, pickleball, and a clubhouse. Here are some photos of the property as it is today. Amendments to the zoning map are reviewed by the 14 standards under Article 29 of the Coweta County Zoning and Development Ordinance. Some highlighted factors are: 1, the property lies within the priority development character area and is in the growth priority tier of the growth strategy map. The comprehensive plan appears to support the requested RPDP zoning for a master plan community, including single-family detached homes, along with a gated townhome community. 2, existing communities should be protected from adverse impacts of new development with greater density or intensity of land use. Appropriate buffers and land use transitions should be employed where necessary. 3, various ranges of residential densities should exist, and directing higher density development to this area is consistent with availability of urban services. 4, consideration should be given to nearby property owners, especially those on Covey Trail. Should the board recommend approval, the conditions are located in the staff report and up on the slides, and I'll briefly describe each one. 1 is about the total lots and housing types. It limits the project to 329 lots with a maximum of 166 single-family detached and 163 townhomes. 2 deals with lot and building standards. It sets minimum lot sizes, setbacks, floor areas, and height limits for both detached homes and townhomes. Requires at least 51 acres of open space and limits impervious surface to 30%. 3 covers access through Covey Trail. If access is allowed through Covey Trail, the developer must add right and left turn lanes at Lower Fayetteville Road. If access is closed, a cul-de-sac must be built for Covey Trail users. 4, developer shall build right and left turn lanes at the main entrance on Lower Fayetteville Road before final plat approval. 5, developer shall construct a roundabout where project connects to Mary Freeman Road before final plat approval. 6, developer shall dedicate 75 feet of right-of-way from the road center line and keep lot setback at least 200 feet from the center line. 7, 8, and 9 deal with transportation improvements. 7 is developer shall contribute $400,000 for turn lane and intersection improvements at Mary Freeman Road and Poplar Road, due before the 100th home receives a certificate of occupancy. 8, developer shall contribute $300,000 toward improvements at Poplar Road and Noonan Crossing Boulevard, due before the 100th certificate of occupancy. And 9, the developer shall contribute $250,000 towards improvements at Mary Freeman and Lower Fayetteville, due before the 100th certificate of occupancy, unless the Lower Fayetteville Road widening project starts first. 10, developer shall dedicate 40 feet of right-of-way along the portion of Leeville Drive inside the project site. 11 deals with the walking trails and requires at least 1,900 linear feet of 5-foot paved trails with signage built in locations similar to the submitted site plan. Installation tied to timing of detached lots, townhomes, or amenity centers. 12, the amenity center and amenities shall be built to reasonably match the renderings submitted with the rezoning application. 13 requires 50-foot and 25-foot undisturbed buffers in designated areas except along Leeville Drive. 14 deals with stormwater management. The developer shall comply with the county stormwater rules and use runoff reduction practices to reduce long-term maintenance needs. 15 is the development timeline. The developer shall obtain a land disturbance permit within 18 months of rezoning approval, or the county may initiate rezoning of the property. And then this morning, staff received, I guess, red line revisions from the applicant based on the conditions I just read. I do have prepared a side-by-side comparison. If it's the board's pleasure, I can show that, or not. Up to you guys.
I think so. I think
Okay.
we need to see it.
All right, so condition number 1 remains the same. And that's just about the total lots, 329. Condition number 2, again, remains the same. It's just the dimensional requirements. Condition 3 is where we start to see some changes. This is on Covey Trail access. So in the original staff report, the condition requires turn lanes if access is allowed. If Covey Trail is closed or gated, a cul-de-sac must be built for the Covey Trail users. In the applicant's proffered condition, the applicant adds the qualifier that turn lanes and upgrades only apply if fully unrestricted public access is allowed, so no knockbox, etc. Also requires improving Covey Trail to current county standards if used. Condition number 4 on right and left turn lanes at the development entrance on Lower Fayetteville remains the same. Condition 5 is about the roundabout at Mary Freeman Road. And the conditions listed in the staff report, the developer must construct a roundabout before final plat. The applicant is proffering that the developer only contributes 16% of the county's cost of the roundabout after right-of-way acquisition payable before the 164th certificate of occupancy, not before final plat. Condition number 6 is on right-of-way and setbacks along Lower Fayetteville. In the conditions listed in the staff report, 75 feet of right-of-way dedication and 200 feet setback from the center line. And the applicant is proffering the same right-of-way dedication, but reduces setback to 125. So 125 instead of 200. Number 7 is 400,000 contribution at the Mary Freeman Poplar Road intersection for improvements. In the conditions listed in the staff report, the contribution is due before the 100th certificate of occupancy. The applicant is proffering that contribution is due before the 164th certificate of occupancy and adds a 10% escalation if 164 certificate of occupancies are not issued within 5 years. Condition 8 is a 300,000 contribution towards the Poplar Road, Noonan Crossing Boulevard intersection for improvement. In the conditions listed in the staff report, contribution is due before the 100th certificate of occupancy. The applicant is proffering that the contribution is due before 164th certificate of occupancy, and it adds that same 10% escalator clause as in condition number 7. Condition number 9 is more road improvements, this time at Mary Freeman and Lower Fayetteville, and a $250,000 contribution. The staff report has this due before the 100th certificate of occupancy unless the widening project begins. The applicant is proffering that this be due before the 164th certificate of occupancy unless widening starts. Funds are designated as restricted, and a 10% escalator is added if 164 certificate of occupancies are not issued within 5 years. Condition number 10 is on Leeville Drive in the right-of-way dedication. in the conditions in the staff report, 40-foot right-of-way dedication within the development property. And the applicant clarifies that the dedication measured 20 feet from each side of the existing center line and proffers that dedication is to be counted towards open space and not affect density. Condition number 11 is on the walking trails. In the conditions listed in the staff report, there are to be 1,900 linear feet of paved sidewalks 5 feet wide. This condition specifies that the trail segment that connects the amenity center, townhomes, and single-family detached homes are to be installed prior to final plat approval for either portion of the development, and trails adjacent to single-family detached lots are to be installed prior to approval of the final plat for the 100th detached lot. The applicant proffers the same length and general location, but trails are comprised of compacted earth, not paved sidewalk. Trails are maintained by HOA, and trails are installed by phased development instead of tied to like the 100th lot. Condition 12 is over the amenity center. In the conditions listed in the staff report, the amenity center and amenities must reasonably reflect the renderings. The applicant proffers the same, but adds a deadline. Amenity area must be completed before certificate of occupancy for last home in first phase. Condition number 13 is on buffers. The staff report has 50-foot and 25-foot undisturbed buffers except along Level Drive. The applicant proffers the same buffers but allows disturbance and grading during construction, provided they are replanted and maintained by HOA. Condition 14 is on stormwater management, and there was no request for change here. Condition 15 is the development timeline. And the staff report must obtain an LDP, a land disturbance permit, within 18 months of rezoning approval. And the applicant's proffered condition adds the requirement to apply for a preliminary plat within 6 months, and then obtain a land disturbance permit within 18 months of preliminary plat approval, not rezoning. Also allows 2 6-month extensions by community development director. And then they've added a condition 16. So this is a new condition from the applicant, and it deals with the Covey Trail Real Estate Exchange. The applicant adds the provision for mutual exchange of right-of-way between developer and county if Covey Trail is abandoned to align with the site plan. Any questions, or would you like me to take you to a certain area?
Anybody? Okay. Does the applicant wish to speak? Well, hang on just a second.
Cole, can you just go back to the change, proffered condition 10? I guess, could you expand on this a little bit more? I'm having you talk about Mr. Hanley, probably be able to explain it better, Mr. Hanley, because I don't quite understand what they're saying.
Yes, Mr. Robach, there's an existing road.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, it's extremely hard to hear some of this. Some of this is very technical, and we really need to hear it. It's not that we're trying to cut you short or anything else, but please hold down your mumblings and so forth back there until we can call for public comment, okay? I'm sorry, Mr. Hanley.
That's okay. There's an existing gravel road that runs off of Lower Fayetteville and serves, I think, about 6 properties. that's called Level Drive. It's spelled Leavel, I believe. But there's no right-of-way there. It's just by prescriptive easement. So since this road runs through the developer's property, we ask that 40 feet of right-of-way be dedicated along Level Drive within their property, so that we do have right-of-way on that road.
So, but they're coming back and they're saying, I guess they're going to give you 40 feet of right-of-way, but it exists in the center line of the portion of Level Drive. Are they talking about the center of the gravel road?
I think they're talking about 20 feet on each side, 20 feet from center line on each side. So it is a total width of 40 feet.
So I guess, is that okay? Does that meet your standard?
It does.
Okay,
I think they want to count that towards their open space, which
they want to count it towards what?
they want to be able to count that dedicated area towards their open space. But
Okay,
I
thank you.
think that was
Thank you,
one of
Nicole.
the provisions of their property.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other? I thought I saw Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir.
Come on up. And you are speaking on behalf of the developer, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Give us your name and your address, please, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Stephen Jones with the law firm of Taylor Duma. My address is 1600 Parkwood Circle, Suite 200, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you and present this application. Staff did a great job. Actually, I was worried about my 10 minutes, and going through that conditions helped. This is rezoning application 2505 by Freedom Lands Holdings. You've seen the overview of the subject property. I just want to point out to your right-hand side here, you can see my screen. That is the Covey Trail. The applicant, Freedom Land Holdings, owns all those lots highlighted in yellow. Those were originally septic lots. They do not perk, so they cannot be developed. We propose to incorporate them into the subdivision. I'll talk about that more in a moment. We also own an additional parcel, but then the majority of the remaining land is still currently owned by the Tate family. This is 103 acres, proposed to be 329 lots, 166 single-family, 163 townhomes. The townhome pod is gated. If the board will recall, earlier this year, you amended the RPDP zoning district or overlay to permit townhomes if they are behind a gate and on a private street, and that's a road maintenance issue. So that's what we've proposed here. As staff noted, there's a centralized amenity area, walking trails, as well as contribution to road improvements, which I'll go into further. The density, as you'll see here, is generally consistent with the developments in the surrounding area, particularly within the city of Newnan. You've got a density map here on the screen that shows that with the concept plan overlaid. Here you have a great aerial rendering where you can see a lot of the site features. You can see at the bottom of the screen the amenity area, the townhome pods behind that gate on the private street, as well as the single family to the north, which we're calling the detached section. The amenity area will include an approximately 4,700 square foot clubhouse. It's got a gym, like a gathering common area, meeting rooms, co-working spaces / offices, and a screened-in porch overlooking the resort-style pool with a playground to the right and tennis or pickleball courts, depending. This is the same amenity package that is at the 12 Park subdivision, which is approximately 700 acres. We're less than half that, but we're still providing the same amenity area in size and scope. Here you've got another rendering of the amenity area. I want to walk in now to the walking trails. As staff noted, there are a number of walking trails expanding throughout the property. You can see those in that bold brown line. We are requesting a revision to the staff recommended condition. With respect to those conditions, Mr. Moore, if it's okay, Chairman, he's got handouts with those conditions redlined and clean and redlined copies. He's got copies for staff as well. Those walking trails traverse through across a number of stream courses, and therefore they have to go across impervious areas, making it difficult, if not against EPD regulations, to cross those trails. Another thing is with with paved walking trails, we see an issue where if they're running through the woods, pavement will naturally get broken up by roots, as we see on many sidewalks, creating a maintenance and expense issue for the HOA into perpetuity. So we're proposing compacted earth, which is what you would see in any walking trail in any state or federal park, or many local parks. So that's where you actually compact the earth. We're not proposing mulch because that also proposes a maintenance and tripping issue. So we want to go with typical walking trails that you see throughout, again, state, federal, and local parks. Staff mentioned the buffer around the property. We're proposing a 50-foot buffer. Again, not required by your ordinances, but we want to propose that to staff's comment of respecting adjacent and surrounding properties. We do propose a recommended or proffered modification to staff's condition, which is that we can grade and disturb those buffers so we can meet and deliver this site plan, but we will replant those, and those replanted buffers will be maintained by the HOA. Here you've got an illustrative rendering of a streetscape of the single-family detached portion, another single-family home, an illustrative rendering of the townhomes, and then a rendering of the gates where you see both front and rear entry townhomes. I'd now like to show you a video rendering of the proposed development. This is coming in off Mary Freeman Road, hence the sign. You've got a divided boulevard entrance with landscape median sidewalks on both sides. Switching interior now to the single-family detached portion, you can see an illustrative streetscape and renderings of the houses that would be constructed there. The builder here is either Freedom Land Holdings or its affiliate Jeff Lindsay Communities. So these homes would be delivered in the style, fashion, and quality that you might be aware that those companies have delivered in the community previously. Here are more video renderings of the townhome product. These are illustrative in terms of materials and colors. Coming through, again, these are a mixture of rear entry that you see here and front entry, offering a variety of product. We then switch to the amenity area. Again, this is the exact same amenity that's at the 12 Park subdivision. It's over double the lots. We're half those lots, but providing the same amenity package, almost 5,000 square foot clubhouse, resort style pool, playground, and then pickleball or tennis courts, depending on where the market preference is. Pickleball seems to be here to stay, so probably the way we'll head. More video renderings of the resort style pool. And then an aerial overview of the proposed development. I do want to address in your packet, you have, in your staff report, you have the PDP scorecard. In the existing conditions, there's Lower Fayetteville Road has not been widened, but as mentioned in the staff recommended conditions, the Lower Fayetteville Road project through GDOT is currently in the design phase, I believe. So after that GDOT project, we believe we could potentially have an additional 15 to 10 points added with respect to the right-of-way width. After we got 5 points for the existing greater than 80-foot right-of-way on Lower Fayetteville, but after the GDOT project, it will be in excess of that. I believe that would give us an additional 10 points. So under that scorecard in your staff report, you have 35 points. We believe, taking into account the future widening, which we are contributing substantial funds to, that we would get 50 to 75 points. And then finally, the last item in the PDP scorecard is the potential for annexation of the property. We and staff agree that this property is eligible for annexation, so that's an additional 25 points. We then believe if you factor into the future widening of Lower Fayetteville Road, which your staff recommended conditions would require the developer to contribute to, we would have a resulting score of 75 to 100, depending on how you subjectively laid that out. I do want to talk about some of the recommended conditions. With respect to the roundabout, we actually have a little different condition here than the one that we delivered this morning. We had based the 16% contribution to the roundabout at Mary Freeman based on the fact that our additional traffic would be 16% of the additional traffic. After further consideration, what we've come up with is we would contribute an additional $1.5 million to that roundabout, also payable at the 164th CO. On all of these conditions, that contribution at the 164th certificate of occupancy is about 50%, or exactly 50% of the homes in the development. On the Covey Trail access, we have a concept which provides full access. Should it be the pleasure of the board, we are also prepared to provide a cul-de-sac for the Covey Trail residents and then our own cul-de-sac connected by an emergency access only drive, which would have a Knox box on it, means a gate only accessible by emergency services personnel. We've addressed the walking trails. I do want to save time for rebuttal. So Chairman, may I reserve the remainder of my time for rebuttal, and then should the board have any questions of me or the applicant, I'm accompanied by James Nicholson with the applicant, as well as Steve Moore and Matt Gray with Moore Bass Consulting, which are the engineers of record.
All right, Mr. Jones. Thank you, and we'll have the clerk notify you how much remaining.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant has exhausted 10 minutes of
Oh, he has
authority.
exhausted his time. All right. We will now call for comments in support of the proposed rezoning.
First, Mr. Chairman, is Steve Moore.
All right. Okay.
And I believe, as Mr. Jones stated, Tyrone Tate. Is that Steve? In support? Tyrone Tate in support of item number 6? Are you in support of item number 6 for this project? Okay.
Give us your name and your address, please.
Tyrone Tate, 74, River Birch Way, Sharpsburg. I am also, along with my wife, the owner of 433 and 447 Mary Freeman Road. So I'd like to say I notice a lot of people here, and I'm quite grateful to see everyone who came. And I'm thankful for the interesting conversation that I've had with several. And certainly, I remember when Summer Grove was being built. And our property is right outside of, I guess that's the east gate of Summer Grove on Mary Freeman Road. And what we thought was that this huge development is going to be built across the street, what the impact of traffic was going to be on these two families, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my wife, and my children and I. And what we did was just say, hey, look, it's Noonan, Georgia, and what we have is 104 years of calling this the City of Homes. So we'll just sit and remain quiet, and our original intent was to keep the land. And I want to make sure that from all the rumors and everything that everyone was saying, this land has not been sold. There's no closing date on this land. Everything is contingent. We sat down with a number of developers and individuals who were interested in the land, and we sat down with them and made sure that they understood how serious we were, that this land had to meet a certain standard to meet the quality of life in Coweta County. I've been teaching in the school system on and off for the past 20 years. My in-laws, my father-in-law, he retired after 37 years. He taught trade school. So we thought that it would be an excellent idea to get with CEC, which is one of the best programs in the country, not just in the state of Georgia, but in the country, and have those young men and young ladies who are working on trades to have them, to incorporate them into this project. This particular developer has done everything possible to address the concerns of both my wife and I and my kids, considering my kids are grown adults. So they had some suggestion that they wanted to give. So again, we understood the efficiency of the land had to be used a certain way, to lower the infrastructure. We knew that the community vibrant life had to be maintained. We understood all of those things, especially the 15 conditions that were put up there, and the one condition that again was not mentioned was the fact that we had not sold our land until it met our standards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tate.
I believe that's all in support, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Let's start with the opposition.
And if you would, please.
Yes, sir. First is Ashley Nietzsche.
Good evening. I have some handouts too, and how to get them to you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and the board. It's good to see all of you. I just want to take a quick minute and talk to you all about Welch Elementary, if I
Name and
may.
address,
I apologize. Ashley Nietzsche, District 1. The application to rezone this property states that this project will not overburden schools or county infrastructure, and I respectfully submit to you this evening that the application is full of boilerplate language used to get the application submitted and approved without taking a real look at what is being asked of Coweta County and the residents along Mary Freeman and Lower Fayetteville roads. I want to talk to you about Welch. Go Bulldogs. Last week I attended training to be a volunteer at Welch Elementary School, and I learned that this amazing school has 940 students enrolled, and the capacity is 1,000 students. So we are at 94% capacity at Welch. And I also learned that of those amazing minds, about 60% are on free or reduced lunch. I also learned that our school zone is one of the biggest for elementary schools. So I looked at the school board's website, and they were right. And that is what's in that packet that I presented to you all, is just an outline of those school zones. Now I know that this humble board does not determine the school lines, the school zones, but you all do determine what's built and what's placed in those school lines. Currently, in this school board zoning for Welch, Phase 3 of Poplar Preserve is still being built. Daybreak Townhomes at Shenandoah is just begun to being built. Those townhomes are not occupied, and they are far from being finished. This development calls for not just single-family homes, but also more townhomes. The last thing that we need, gentlemen, is more townhomes. I submit to you all this evening that these developers did not fully contemplate the burden to our school and to our local government when they submitted the application. We understand that progress and development is inevitable, and what we ask tonight is for the board to take a step back and ask, is this the kind of development that we want? Does this development help the homeowners of Coweta County? Is it beneficial to the children of Coweta? And I don't believe that the answer to this question, as they are currently presented, is yes. My neighbors and I ask you to pause your vote and send the plans back to Freedom Land Holdings for reconsidering to eliminate the townhomes. Ask them only to build single-family homes. Why? Those townhomes, as they are presented, back up to single-family homes on Bryanwood Drive and Aniston Court. Do those homeowners want to walk out in their backyard every night and see 4+ attached dwellings with 20+ people in their backyard? No. We ask for a bigger than 50-foot buffer. We ask that there not be direct access to Bryanwood Drive, that there be a rental cap, and there be homeowners only and no rentals in there. And I thank you all so much for allowing me to come see you this evening.
Thank you. I appreciate what she said, but folks, we got a long night ahead of us, and we can move on with the next opposition.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Julie Wall.
Good evening. How are you doing? Thank you so much for listening thoughtfully to the community's concerns.
Your name and your
Yes,
address,
my name
please.
is Julie Wall, and I am a homeowner and resident in the Heritage Ridge subdivision, which is directly across the street from the proposed rezoning section. And I do have a written statement or commentary provided for the board member. There's 5 copies there. You can look at it another time, but I'll just brief you through this. So when I learned of the upcoming rezoning, I started talking to neighborhoods around my area, and I learned that pretty much everybody that I was speaking to was not in support of this, and this is the residents in the immediate area off of Mary Freeman, off of Laura Smith, in the Summer Grove, Fox Ridge, parks of Olmsted, Ashton Place, Parkside Village, White Oak communities. So I went ahead and started a petition just 5 days ago. I started on change.org. I have a copy of it here for you, and all the signatures that were gathered through noon today, which is 1,200 signatures in just 5 days. This petition was not shared very widely, honestly, just through social media on our community Facebook pages for these specific subdivisions that I just mentioned, and through Facebook primarily and Nextdoor. So I feel like if we had more time to get more signatures, it would be much higher. However, 1,200 signatures in 5 days, and primarily I included the signatures for you in this packet, and I also submitted to you commentary from some of the people who signed the petition. The reasons why we, the local constituents and residents in this area, immediately living in this area, oppose the rezoning from rural conservation. Firstly, this is a 101-acre parcel, is very heavily wooded, and it has thousands of mature trees and water sources and are a habitat to many wildlife, including deer and others, due to the area around it already being heavily built up with subdivisions and residents. The loss of this specific parcel of land as being a wildlife habitat would be catastrophic. There's really no comparable areas nearby that these wildlife would be able to relocate to. So it would pretty much just completely decimate their habitat, as well as the loss of all of these mature trees and everything that would go on with the building. So I urge you to consider the biodiversity, the ecosystem, and the balance of those things. Secondly, because there is already so much traffic in that area, the residents in these communities are worried about increased traffic. Even with a couple of extra roundabouts and things like that added, we feel like the traffic would be that much greater. So I see that my time is up, but I did put in several other points, adding to Ashley's point about the impacts on the schools, which are already nearly at capacity, and the concern about the townhouses and specifically being so densely packed. We do worry about those things. So I put those in my summation letter on the front, and a copy of the petition, comments, and the signers through today. Thank you so much for hearing.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Sharon Prince.
Hello, good evening. Sharon Prince, 231 Cabin Road. I would like to ask the Board of Commissioners to deny rezoning this property that failed the RPDP and a revised traffic study, not once, but twice, as stated on the staff report dated July 24th, 2025, from Nicole Blackwell, zoning associate, that states, the proposed subdivision initially received a failing score of 60% on the scoring on April 17th, 2025. Following a revised traffic study completed on May 21st, 2025, The score was reevaluated on July 17, 2025, and remained unchanged at 60%. Mr. Jones was including revised scoring based on Lower Fayetteville being widened. When will that widening to Laura Smith be completed? After receiving a failing score of 60%, it is obvious this property should remain as rural conservation. I would hope the Board of Commissioners would not fail the community by prioritizing property development and cause increased traffic congestion, safety concerns, financial waste, and loss of public trust by approving this rezoning request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Christian Tam.
Also have just some photos and some signatures from another petition. So good evening, Commissioners. I've prepared remarks.
Name and address, please.
Yes, Christian Tam. I live on Covey Trail. So if you're looking at this photo right there, right where it says Covey Trail Connection, my driveway is right next to the dot. I'm right next to this proposed development. So like I was saying, I live directly adjacent to the land proposed for this rezoning under this application. I come before you as a deeply concerned neighbor who, like many here, chose this community for its quiet, semi-rural character, and this proposed development at its scale, density, and current design would irreversibly change that character, strain infrastructure, and put existing residents at risk. I hope to go over a few reasons why I'm opposed to this request for rezoning, some of which have already been discussed. Failure to meet county standards. This project failed the county's own RPDP scoring, receiving 60% on April 17th, and the same 60% even after a revised traffic study was completed on July 17th. That is below the passing threshold from my understanding. Much of the applicant's points depend on future road improvements. If those road projects are the basis for approving this rezoning, then construction should not begin until they're fully completed. To allow building before that would put our community in harm's way. My second point is comprehensive plan and zoning incompatibility. This would be an overdevelopment in a transitional area. The density and 163 planned townhomes do not align with the surrounding rural conservation zone character. In my opinion, transition buffers between high-density zones and existing large lot homes are inadequate at the proposed 50 feet. This is a significant change from not having anyone near you, as seen in this picture, to having walking trails that the developers are planning to construct, and the staff noted in their report that were poorly detailed and possibly misleading. Talking about traffic and roadway safety, the traffic study identifies major impacts to Mary Freeman Road and Lower Fayetteville Road, both already congested and accident prone. The traffic study engineer used on this request was unlicensed in the state of Georgia since 2010. Proposed fixes that the staff recommended, like turn lanes, are inadequate without full traffic light signalization and broader road network upgrades. And these proposed fixes are not guaranteed before construction, with some being tied to the previously 100th occupancy, but in the applicant's revised considerations, 164th. Covey Trail is a cul-de-sac and has been for a very long time and was never meant to serve as a connector street. This would jeopardize both the safety and resident privacy of all the residents on the street. You can see in some of the photos the character of our street that I provided, taken by some of the people here who are from our street. So someone already mentioned school infrastructure and overload. Welch Elementary, Lee Middle, and East Coweta are near capacity. Adding 329 homes will worsen crowding. There's no mitigation plan or contribution from the developer for the added educational strain. Police, EMS, and fire coverage will be stretched much thinner, and there's no clear plan to maintain safe response times. And then we can go into environmental and stormwater risk. The site contains significant tree cover. Sorry about that. I'll finish there. I guess I'll close with my request to the board is for all these reasons, I urge you to deny rezoning based on the failure to meet our PDP standards, partial alignment with the comprehensive plan, and county. If you do not deny outright, I ask you to permanently prohibit any access via Covey Trail, cap unit count, and require traffic upgrades before construction.
All right. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Terry Schneider.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. My name's Terry Snyder. I'm at 120 Covey Trail. Been here for 35 years in the same house. Me and my wife bought the house, and we've loved it. We've loved Coweta County. We've also loved the city of Noonan. This project that's going to take place, the reason I bought there was the serenity, the quietness, and just knowing all my neighbors up and down the street. You know, we live on a cul-de-sac, and we'd like to keep it a cul-de-sac. This access coming off of this other residential facility that's imposed is going to create a lot of traffic, and it's going to take away from everything that I came to this county for. And if I appreciate it, I just appreciate that y'all oppose it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Jeremy Hyde.
All right, good evening. Thanks for seeing me. Jeremy Hyde, District 1. I live on Brianwood Drive, so, you know, obviously directly impacted there. For me at first, just talk about some of the impact on the nature. Looking at the wildlife that lives on these 101 plus acres, whether it's owls, crested woodpeckers, all these animals' homes will be destroyed, demolished to clear a path for more building. What about the topography of those acres? There's a pond in this proposed development that feeds into the creek that runs along Fox Ridge and Ashton Place. USGS maps show a 50-foot difference from this property to Fox Ridge and upwards of a 60-foot difference to Ashton Place. Has a builder considered the impact on the current homeowners, the current erosion, the flooding that will be caused due to the impact of this build? Talking about traffic. Obviously, we all know as we drive down Lower Fayetteville, it's an issue every day, whether it's morning, afternoon, et cetera, with current construction. All of this and all this proposed seems to be talking about Lower Fayetteville. What are the impact on the schools? The impact right there at Welch Elementary, anybody who lives in that area, it's almost impossible to get in and out during school hours. I think we have a great SRO. He's doing it the best he can. There's been a second that's added. We could probably use 3 or 4 right now with the congestion. If we're adding 300 plus additional people, I don't understand how we're going to get in and out. Right, to me, it causes, I see wrecks there all the time. I see police officers doing what they can, but it's a major, major safety concern for people walking to and from school, people driving to and from school. Again, I have 3 kids that either go there or have graduated beyond that school, and so that's my number one concern is safety coming in there. Again, also would like to propose, we talk about a 50-foot difference. 50 feet, I sit in my backyard. Again, I stated I live on Brianwood. I've been there. I've seen the surveyors. I've had to yell at my dogs to keep from them attacking the surveyors and going out there. You know, for me, being able to know the reason, similar to like many of these folks talked about, the reason we purchased in a certain location. Yes, I may be in a neighborhood, but I have acreage that backs up. I picked a certain lot acreage because this was unbuildable land, right? This area was not going to be built on due to erosion, right? There's a reason I would love to be on my back porch sitting and looking at land, not 300 to 400 of Clayton County's new neighbors, or not Coweta County's new neighbors, of the new Coweta County residents. I apologize. The new residents of Coweta County. I don't want that in my backyard. I don't care. I would much rather see the people, animals, the nature paths, being able to walk through whatever's out there. Again, I'll speak my time. I hate talking in front of people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, William Owens.
William Owens. Okay, not hearing.
Carry on.
Next one.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Deloise Jordan.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dolores Jordan. I live off 110 Covey Trail. And my concerns about it is the traffic in that area. And I've been in that, I have been in that area since 1990. And as of now, when we're trying to enter out of our entrance, you really can't get out. And if you're talking about widening the road for more traffic, that's going to make it very difficult. And also, up and down that road, if you open that up, that cul-de-sac, it's going to be traffic coming through, and there are all kinds of ways because they're going to have opening. And also the safety. Right now, I mean, it's those speed bumpers. They already speed through this road as of now. So with that saying, that would be very difficult for us to really even get out of the road. I mean, you have a turn light, but it's not in front of our subdivision. It's on up close to Laura Smith. So that is some of my concerns. And, okay, just like if they get disapproved, talking about a homeowners association. Okay, we are already stay off Coweta Trail. Would we have to be implemented on that homeowner association if this is allowed? And what about speed bumpers? What's going to keep them? They already speed up and down this road like everything. Because I have called cops several times about speeders. School buses, regular traffic, they race down this road. And God, with all this other traffic coming on this road, it would be horrible. I mean, it just really be congested. And this is the older, quiet neighborhood, been in there since 1990. And just really don't want it there. I know this you all's decision, but it's not a good thing to do at all.
Thank you very much.
Wait a minute.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Sierra White.
There she comes.
Which speaker? This one?
You
Sierra
can pull
White.
that down just a little
Pull
bit.
down, okay. Thank y'all. Sierra White, Mary Freeman Road. I'll be quick. My biggest concern, because I live on the corner of Mary Freeman and Lower Fayetteville, is that we already have so much traffic, so many problems getting out of our driveway, period. Even with the widening of roads, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say, I don't think that's even gonna help. So adding 300 more homes, over 300 more homes, which means minimum 300 more people, that's the minimum, it's just not gonna be a good idea. But as she's previously stated, I know it's you guys' decision, but on behalf of everyone on our road, please don't allow that to happen. It's just too much. It's just too much. And as a side note, I realized while standing here why the developer took us out to dinner multiple times, trying to get us to be on board with a lot of things. And part of it wasn't even listed in what we just heard. He was trying to get us to advocate for him tonight. And it became apparent while standing here back here. So that's just a little side note that I found out the truth about why we were taken out to dinner. So I just want to throw that out there. Y'all have a lovely night, and we appreciate y'all listening to us. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're completely out of order now. Come on. I've been lenient, and I have let you clap and those type things, and I don't have a problem with that. But when we get to the point where we're hooting and hollering, we hear them. We hear them. We hear them. Please, please, let's have a sense of decorum in the meeting. That's all I'm asking. I'm begging you. But please, let's keep it organized. Let's keep a sense of decorum. And I heard her very well. I heard her very well. Thank you again. Mr. Fouts, do we have another?
We do, Mr. Chairman. We have almost 2 minutes left of the 20 minutes, so you want me to call the next speaker?
Yes, please.
And that's Robin Floyd.
I'm going to be short anyway.
That's fine.
Good
Take your
evening.
time.
My name is Robin Floyd. I live at 1189 Bob Smith Road. I've never done this before, so bear with me. I think about the schools. It's horrible. I have grandchildren that live in this county. I've been here, I think I already said this, 31 years. I have watched this county turn from a country little town into this monstrosity of a town. And the growth is just, it's becoming exponential. And maybe it's about the money that companies bring in, but at some point, when do we get to go back to us, the people that built this county and made it what it is today? I'm concerned about the wildlife. I'm concerned about the schools. I'm concerned about the traffic. We have enough accidents as it is, and to add all of that, and someone said 300, I'm going to say more like 2,000, 2,500 individuals at least. That's a lot of people to add to the county. I please and pray, that you guys will oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have a little time left and one speaker. Let me go ahead and call.
Go ahead. Call the next one.
And that's Robert Stokely.
Robert Stokely, Sharpsburg, Georgia, 100 Fountainhead Way. Briefly, I don't live in that area, but I transfer through it every day. Covey Trail is going to take a hit for the folks there because they're going to become somebody else's racetrack. As far as Covey Trail intersection, I think it's really close to Laura Smith, and I just don't see how you can have a left-hand turn lane headed westbound on Lower Fayetteville into Covey Trail. So I'd suggest not letting them use Covey Trail. My last statement is, I'm really concerned when someone comes in here and they want you to approve something, but then they start asking you to change the conditions. For a minute there, I thought we were all at Burger King and they were wanting to have it their way. And I don't think you should let them do that. Staff laid out some conditions. I think you should add some of these other points brought up by other people and make them stick to it or go somewhere else and build. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Are there any other comments from staff? Any additional information? Can I call for a motion to close the public hearing?
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion regarding proposed rezoning?
I have some questions I need to ask staff. For the development proposed 100 or 329 units, does anybody know what the density is for the surrounding areas? I briefly saw it up there on the screen, but is this comparable to the surrounding areas or is it more or less? Please.
You have it?
I believe it's comparable. I can pull up that slide that we just figured out the density of the surrounding areas today. All right, so the density of some of the surrounding properties located within the city of Newnan are anywhere from 2.8 to 3.7 units per acre, depending on which subdivision they're in. And if I measured correctly, this development would be 3.2 units per acre, approximately.
That's with their proposed.
That what they're proposed right now.
Okay.
What they're proposing.
Can Mr. Fisher, can I make a comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know if it was you or if it was the applicant that had made a statement that this could be subject to annexation, and I would have to disagree with that. And I'm going to ask Nathan, if they create an island within the county between the city, they won't get approved on annexation. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, is the question, if they annexed, would it create an island?
It would create an island. I can see it.
You cannot create an island.
Okay.
I haven't looked at it, but you can't create
I think
an
if you
island.
bring up the map that you had in presentation, Ms. Blackwell, where I think it's Level Road or whatever it is, Lavelle Road, that's not included in this property, so it would create an island. Right there at the top left. So you'd have the city encompassed all around it, and you'd have an island, which would not be allowed. Yeah, that right there.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but I know you cannot create an island.
Can you mouse up where the level road is there?
Commissioner Rodback, you're correct. If they were to annex the totality of this development, it would create an island.
Okay, thank you. That's what
He would know.
I thought I remember that from school.
I know the law. He understands how the sausage is made.
I believe, Mr. Lee, also, there is a 60% method that is allowed by law, so it could be.
There is a 60%
Right.
method, but I
As
don't
long
believe
as an
that
island.
is. I don't believe that is what the. I don't
Correct.
think you can annex an island with the 60% method either.
Yeah, I don't think
Right.
so either.
Right. I just wanted to point out there are two methods.
That's correct, but I don't think
Or
your
three.
PDP ordinance, because a 60% annexation requires
much more
holes and all.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a
Okay,
very
thank you,
cumbersome
Mr. Lee.
Well, it's kind of a big deal if you can't annex in. Because, I mean, you're going to have development of somebody's property, which I do believe in property rights for people to be able to develop it, but it kind of changes a little bit. Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Ben, can I ask you a question? So if the subject property is annexed into the city of Noonan, where is the island at?
The island would be at the south east corner of Mary Freeman Road and Lower Fayetteville Road, those lots that are kind of
Okay.
isolated between the blue and the yellow.
I see, okay, all right,
But-
thank you. I was trying to find the island,
Yeah.
but okay.
And so I guess, I guess the more and that's first I heard about developers taking people out to dinner for this, but my thing is if the density's too high, then maybe my opinion that, the applicant should go back and ask them what they would feel would be a proper density with the people around the surrounding neighborhoods. Because the city can't come in, well, in my opinion, the city could not come in and take it, so. And if the density is that high, I had no idea that the schools were that crowded around that area either. And 600 or 300 homes with an average 2.5 kids per home, that's a lot more kids than students. We could, not that it would be 100% would go to the school system here, but still a burden that we have to consider.
Well, I don't think the density for 3.2 is really acceptable for the area. I'd want it, if it was going to be moved forward, I would definitely like to see it reduced, more in line of a 3.0 rather a 3.2, which you're better with math than me. That puts it around about 300 homes or a little less.
At a 3.0, it would probably, at 300 homes, you'd be about 2.9, if I did my math.
2.9 of a density, which is one of the lowest, because that one of them up there was 2.8.
I think the roads are.
for clarity, Covey Trail, at one point, are they going to be able, are people going to be able to use Covey Trail to get back to those other yellow boxes at the other end of Covey Trail?
I think in the staff report, I thought they talked about cul-de-sacking it and putting it a knock box.
Our recommendation would be that Covey Trail not be used to access this development if it were approved for normal traffic. Now, an emergency connection that could be gated with a Knox box used during emergencies, or say something else happened and you couldn't get out of the other entrances, then I think it would be a good idea to have an emergency connection that could be gated and used if necessary.
But as a normal route, it's not going to be open.
No, sir. That would be my recommendation.
That's staff's recommendation.
Is that one of the conditions, Mr. Hanley? Well, is it one of your conditions that wasn't marked up?
I think our original condition was that if it was used, that left and right turn lanes be constructed on Lower Fayetteville Road to serve it. However, since we've looked at this several times, we've met with the developer and his attorney and representatives. We've talked about this internally, and I think it would work better if this subdivision was not connected to Covey Trail except for in the event of an emergency.
There's actually, the way I look at it, there's actually even more islands than just that large one.
Use your mic so they can hear you.
There are more islands because you can come over if the city were to try to take it over or annex it and then allow a development. You've got right there off of Lower Fayetteville, you've got 2 blocks that are there as well. And if the city, they would be completely encircled by the city if they were to annex it.
Chairman, my understanding is that the roadway would not be considered, in other words, it wouldn't take Lower Fayette Road into account because there's an access point in there, I guess. If there's an access point in there, you can't count it. And so it looks like there's houses there.
Yeah, I see that, but aren't there
Under some circumstances, a road can count as a contiguous border.
It cannot or it can?
It can.
I know it can.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
I
I thought you
understand
said
that, yeah.
So would not Mary Freeman Road give them access as well? Those lots that are not part of it, that's up in that left-hand corner?
When I looked on the map, that's the one I keyed in on, and Mr. Sewell, you can tell me of this, that is completely encircled with no access if they do that from the county.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And then I have one other question too, because another comment was made, something on the basis of the roundabout and right-of-way acquisition by the county. And so I don't have any idea what right-of-way acquisition would cost on Marion Freeman for a roundabout. I mean, you know.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that question?
When they were talking about the roundabout, what do you say here? Developers shall construct or contribute $1.5 million towards the county's cost of constructing a roundabout on Marion Freeman at the proposed development. The contribution was made prior to the 164 home. But he talks about after the county acquires the necessary right-of-way. How much is the right-of-way going to cost us?
Well, I guess one addition that I would like to make, if that condition is approved, was that if right-of-way is necessary from the developer's tract, then they donate that right-of-way.
Okay.
If the right-of-way is necessary from other property owners, then then we would be on the hook for that. But
why wouldn't we make them buy the right of way?
well, you get into a sticky situation when a developer's trying to buy right of way for a project because they don't have the
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any further comment?
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna, unless one of you guys have a motion to accept or decline this with a number of conditions, I think some of the comments that the public has expressed here, I personally would like just a little more time to review this with staff, and I would like a clean black and white copy. Because this is going to be an extremely
this is too
messy,
confusing.
Conditional. I'm pretty good at it, but I don't even think I can do this without making a mistake. So my motion to you guys, unless there's further discussion, is to table this. We can set another date, 30 days, up until the point that we can make a black and white copy of this and go through the conditions.
I second the motion.
Just for clarity, for those 30 days, that would be September 16th?
It would be the next meeting for us.
Would be the next meeting for continuance.
To the applicant, is that acceptable?
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, we already closed it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, though.
Public hearing's already closed. They did vote to close it.
Yeah, we did close it, yeah.
We closed.
Or do we need to vote to continue?
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, you can vote
Well, you
now,
can
or you can vote
table it.
you can
Table.
vote on his motion. It's been seconded.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table this until September what?
16th.
16th.
I just want to be clear that the public hearing was closed. There'll be no more public comments. It'll just be the vote on the matter.
Well, so let me ask you this, Attorney, can we make a motion to open the public hearing so we include that in the record? We can't do that? Okay.
You can, but you'd have to re-advertise.
Oh, okay.
And how long would that take?
30
No less
days.
than 15, no more than 45 days.
Yeah, this is just, in my opinion, there's too many moving parts. You have, like I said, a lot of things that were said after the fact, and quite frankly, I couldn't vote on this now as it stands. So I don't know how we table it and be able to allow these people to come back and talk again.
Well, the other option, Commissioners, would be to allow the applicant to withdraw and they could waive the 6-month period. That's another option that the board could choose to do if they were agreeable.
Well, and Mr. Fisher, this is, I think it's in your district, and I just believe that whatever we come back with, that we need to allow the citizens to be here and make whatever comment that they want to make. And if that is basically the only way that we can make that happen, then I guess I would ask the applicant if they're willing to withdraw at this time and
Wait, he's gonna.
I had a procedural idea. If the board is interested in having that public comment again, is what y'all are asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
If we could maybe Mr. Jones, could you and I talk about a legal matter really quickly to see if I don't want to go telling the board something if you're going to disagree with me.
Well, we closed the public hearing.
Take a recess after this.
Yes.
We need them.
ain't rapping. Here they are.
We have a solution.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you give us your attention again, please, thank you. My understanding, our attorney has...
I spoke with the applicant's attorney to make sure he agreed with me that he didn't think this was a problem in the law, but since it's been advertised, the public is here, they all know about it, and though y'all voted to close the public hearing, nobody's left. Y'all could vote to reopen the public hearing, then continue it to the next one, then you don't have to re-advertise, and we don't have to kick this down the road however much longer it takes, if the board is inclined to do that.
So that's what I asked first, so I would make the motion to reopen the public hearing.
All right, let me ask you this. You made a motion.
Yeah, I don't think his motion's been voted on.
And we had a second, so are you withdrawing your motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Withdraw my second.
All right, and now
I'll make a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Second the motion.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And then I'll make a motion to have a continuance of this item, September 16th, 2025.
Now, please.
All right. It is motion to continue until September the 16th. And we had a motion. Who seconded it? I'm sorry, Bob seconded it. And any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign. Not hearing any, the motion carries. Thank you very much. I want to thank those of you who are in attendance also for understanding that sometimes this stuff gets very technical, and we want to do the right thing on both sides. Item number 7. No, after this. Item number 7 is continuation of a public hearing regarding proposed amendments to Appendix A, Zoning and Development of the Coweta County Code of Ordinances associated with data centers. Mr. Vouts.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, over the last few years, as this board is aware, the county has received numerous requests for speculative interest in data center developments throughout the county. A majority of these projects did not materialize for various reasons, but in February of this year, a rezoning application known as Project Peach was filed to seek an expansion of an existing industrial district for proposed data center development. This rezoning petition was approved by this body in April with conditions. After considering the continued and increase in interest for data center developments, both locally and across the region, the board has enacted a moratorium on data centers in May to consider codifying specific regulations to address this specific land use. The initial data center ordinance was drafted by staff with input from the Board of Commissioners. The goal of the ordinance is to objectively address development regulations and impacts of data center developments without bias or focus on existing or proposed specific data center developments. The recent Noonan Times Herald article and statements made on behalf of the citizens for rural Coweta indicating that citizens' comments were not considered is not accurate. Feedback and documents provided to staff related to the draft ordinance were included in the July 15th agenda packet. For further clarity, prior to the July 15th public hearing, staff received numerous red line markup documents from legal counsel, commissioners, developers, and staff via our acoustical consultant proposing amendments specific to the draft ordinance. In addition, staff received, as well as the board, numerous emails and documents with general input regarding the data center ordinance. These comments were not specific to sections of the draft ordinance, so they were attached in their entirety to the agenda packet. There have been no deliberate efforts from staff to diminish or omit input from the citizens. There was no selection process or filtering of the feedback. The only action was summarizing the specific markups. Any notion of partiality is simply not true, and it doesn't represent the efforts of staff. Additionally, at no time throughout this process has staff met with industry experts and developers to seek their specific input on the draft ordinance. While they may have called and asked questions, as have citizens, we simply did not meet with them to take their feedback specifically. In addition to the correspondence received regarding the ordinance, numerous emails have been sent regarding Project Sale, which is a pending rezoning application. Those emails were not included in the packet simply because they're specific to a future petition and not the actual ordinance. County staff follow the same process that we've used for many years in developing new ordinances or an amended ordinance regarding the zoning and development code. A draft is compiled by staff, a draft is sent to the board for review, a public hearing is scheduled and advertised, and the board and staff receive input from the public on the proposed ordinance. In fact, over the last few months, we've heard several comments from the public congratulating, if you will, or applauding the board for their efforts on the solar energy system ordinance. The same process was followed with the solar farm or solar energy system as it is for this. The development of this ordinance has brought to light the need for a unified system. Obviously, the comments are coming in via email to individual commissioners, to staff, so we will take that feedback and we're going to work to improve that process. Also, I want to point out there has been a timeline associated. I won't go through this because I know we have a lot to go through tonight, but there's been a lot of different things going on throughout the process as far as the draft of this document, both internally and to the public. And so at this time, our Assistant Director for Community Development, Ben Sewell, is going to go through the latest revisions and then answer any questions that the board may have.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners.
Good evening.
Thank you, Administrator Fouts, for the background that got us to this point. For your information in the audience here tonight, our presentation will focus on the revisions to the proposed data center provisions since the original draft ordinance presented at the July 15th hearing. The major structural change to the ordinance was that in the original version, data centers were allowed by right in the M district, but required a conditional use permit in the light industrial district. In this revised draft, the conditional use requirement in LM has been removed. Data centers would be allowed by right in both M and LM districts, provided that the site is also located within or adjacent to employment center, interstate gateway character areas, and employment center or interstate gateway character areas. On the Coweta County Comprehensive Plan map, those areas are shown in navy blue and purple. In addition to this structural change, staff made revisions to several proposed design standards, specifically building design, buffering, noise, construction traffic, and utilities. We'll begin tonight to discuss building design. This section didn't see major changes, but we did clarify the language. The main functional change is that the setback from a residential property triggering enhanced design standards, such as projections and recesses and changes in silhouette, increased from 200 feet to 300 feet. We also revised language to clearly state that data center buildings must be constructed using brick, stone, architectural precast panels, architectural metal panels that are non-reflective, or fiber cement boards. The original proposal required a 200-foot buffer, with the outer 100 feet against the residential being natural and the inner 100 feet to be planted. This revised ordinance has a requirement for a 300-foot buffer, with that same 100 feet outer boundary against the residential district being 100 feet, and then there being a 200 feet internal planted buffer. Also, you'll recall that we engaged a sound engineering consultant, or PGO, to review our original noise provisions. Initially, we proposed limits of 55 decibels at night and 65 decibels during the day, or 10 decibels above ambient at any time. The revised version is more detailed. First, developers must engage an acoustical engineer to conduct a noise survey. Then that survey would be submitted to staff and reviewed by staff, and then by an independent separate consultant that the county would hire. Also, the numeric limits have been adjusted to 5 decibels above ambient at night and 10 decibels above ambient during the day. and generator testing is now allowed only on weekdays between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. with no testing on federal holidays. Next is construction traffic. The ordinance now requires a traffic management plan to be reviewed and approved not only by Public Works, but also Community Development, the Fire Department, and the Sheriff's Office. Additionally, Public Works may now require surety bonds for impacts to the road's existing network should the developer damage those. Finally, the utilities section was amended to clearly prohibit on-site primary power generation in all zoning districts. In other words, a data center developer may not construct facilities to generate their normal daily operating electricity for the site. However, they still can employ backup generators should the power go out. There are other standards that are still in effect from the previous ordinance. Parking, fencing, lighting, waste management, visual impacts of equipment, and substation placement remain unchanged and are still in effect. In summary, these are the changes that staff understood to be in order following the initial public hearing and your work session, and staff will be happy to answer any questions that you may have to these revisions.
Ben, I've got one on generators not being able, only used in a power outage. Those generators have to be exercised every week.
Yes, sir. That would be limited to weekdays between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., and there would be no testing or exercising, if you will, the generators during federal holidays. So
That's
we would
fair
eliminate nighttime testing, and it would be just during work days.
Fair enough.
And then I just have a couple comments too. I don't know where I saw this. I read it in somebody's document about the lighting, keeping it 3 feet below grade and having a certain lumen level, so you're not seeing the white lights above tree level. So I would like us to consider that as well. And then the more research I've done on these, open loop systems don't work in Georgia because of the humidity. There's too much evaporation, and that causes the high use of water. So I would want to mandate somewhere in the document where they would have to be closed loop.
Okay. So those
And the
are baked
generators
into
need
this
to be-
rendition of the ordinance.
And the generators need to be muffled too, because I just think it's important.
Yes, sir.
That's my only comments on that.
If they're closed loop, will that be similar to geothermal?
So closed loop, what they do, from my understanding of my research, is that, it takes about depending, so many gallons to fill the system up, and then they close it off, and it goes through reclamation, filtration, stuff like that. They still use a couple hundred gallons, based on my research, a couple hundred gallons, a couple thousand gallons a month to replenish what would be used in the closed loop, but far, far less water. That's my understanding.
And that would be cooled in ground though, or heated back up, depending on the season.
Right.
Any further questions from the board for staff at this point? Okay. We're gonna move on and ask.
Public hearing.
I know. Have we, those who have signed up in support and opposition to speak tonight?
Yes, sir,
All
Mr.
right,
Chairman.
You want to call your first one?
We'll start with support, if that's okay.
That's fine. I mean, we're going to hear them.
The first in support is Tim Ryan.
I'm Tim Ryan. I'm in District 3. I want to be clear and upfront. I'm not in favor of massive data centers being placed in Coweta County, but at the same time, I recognize their great importance and revenue that they are purported to generate. My purpose tonight is not to deny that reality, but to make sure that the data center, if it's permitted on Coweta soil, it's properly regulated, carefully monitored, and located on the right piece of real estate. Being limited to just 3 minutes, there's two parts that I would like to focus on: decommissioning and the noise. First, decommissioning. Data centers are massive facilities, and when they reach the end of their useful life, the last thing Coweta needs is to be left with abandoned concrete shells. Other counties have solved this by requiring a decommission plan upfront, backed by a bond or a financial guarantee. Burleigh County in North Dakota requires this financial security at 125% of the estimated removal costs. Cass County, Missouri Data Center, requires an abandonment and decommission plan before construction even begins. These safeguards ensure that if a facility sits idle for 6 months or so, Coweta would have the money to restore the land for future use. While I applaud some of the things that have been done with noise, I don't think it goes far enough. Noise is one of the most immediate impacts that neighbors feel, and it can dramatically affect the quality of life. Although you have your limits set, still requiring your independent noise studies, ongoing monitoring, and limits on when the generators can be tested, like you guys spoke about. But importantly, some counties, the final occupancy approval to compliance with these standards. But enforcement's the real issue. Cyrus One, the developer behind Project Peach, has a history of simply absorbing fines as a cost of them doing business. Chandler, Arizona, and Aurora, Illinois, residents complained for months, if almost years, until the changes were made. Coweta cannot allow that here. Our ordinance needed an enforcement ladder, warnings, daily fines, suspension of occupancy, and if necessary, the authority to shut down operations until compliance is met. Commissioners, this is not about being against progress. It's about making sure that progress doesn't come at the expense of Coweta County's future or the quality of life that all of us in this room have come to enjoy. By requiring decommission bonds and a strong, very strong noise enforcement with real consequences, you will set a standard that protects both citizens, the land, and the quality of life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Rob Cole.
Thank you. Good evening. First off, Mr. Fouts, I want to respectfully disagree with your assessment of not receiving specific red line requests.
Excuse me.
I just think it's necessary.
Before you start talking, you got to give your name and your address.
It's Rob Cole, and I'm in the 5th District.
All right.
But my opinion stands, as was evidenced in meetings twice with members of our rural Coweta group. When we gather here tonight, it's because of something bigger than a building that's happening in Coweta County. Project Sales is not just a development, it's a symbol of a growing disconnect between those elected to serve us and the people that they represent. Over the past months, we've watched commissioners, the very people we trust with the stewardship of this county, look down their noses at ordinary citizens. They dismiss the mothers, fathers, teachers, and retirees who dare to speak up as though we're uninformed and anti-progress, and they've tried to silence our differing opinions. This is not leadership. It feels like arrogance. The concerns of the community are very real, and they deserve that same respect, and they deserve a strong ordinance to protect the quality of life here. First, there's the environmental toll. The massive data centers devour power and water at a scale that strains resources and generates heat and waste that will harm the ecosystem. Second, our green space is at stake. What was once farmland, front yards, and forests will be covered in concrete and steel. Once these lands are gone, they're gone forever. Third, this county holds undocumented Native American historical sites, and once bulldozers move in, those pieces of our heritage will be erased forever. There's no recovering if we destroy that. And finally, there's the issue of legacy. Decisions made in a single meeting will outlast all of us. Decades from now, our children and grandchildren will live with the consequences, the noise, the environmental costs, the industrialization of rural Coweta. And they wonder why no one stood up at that time. And it's supposedly going to take 10 years to build one of these, and technology is obsolete every 6 months. So what sense does that make? And the bottom line is, what makes it worse is the people have spoken. We've come to meetings, we've written letters, we've signed petitions. The will of the people is clear. We do not want Project Sale in its current form or location, even with a good ordinance. We're not anti-data center. We're anti-data center in the country. We're anti-data center on rural conservation land. There are thousands of acres available, hundreds at least, that this could be done on. It's quite simple. We want to hold our leaders accountable, demand independent studies, demand transparency, and demand that the people's voices matter again in Coweta County. It's time for them to learn not to do and to admit that they don't know the full effects yet of this data center. The state even admits that they don't understand it. Please give us that respect that we want to show you. Let our voices be heard and show us that we matter, because this community matters to us. I guarantee it matters to the people behind me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Chris Manganiello.
Good evening, Good evening, Chris Manganiello. I live in the city of Atlanta. I'm Dr. Chris Manganiello, Chattahoochee Riverkeeper's Water Policy Director. Chattahoochee Riverkeeper, environmental nonprofit. Our job is to make sure there's enough clean water in the river for all the people in the communities that need it to thrive. We've been engaged down here in Coweta for a number of years. Some of Chattahoochee Riverkeeper's 10,000 members live here. We have volunteers that monitor our local creeks, and we recently partnered with the City of Newnan and Hitachi Construction Machinery to install a trash and litter trap in a creek in C.J. Smith Park just a few weeks ago. Today, we want to thank the Coweta County Board of Commissioners for the opportunity to provide these comments regarding the proposed data center ordinance. While we think the proposed ordinance could bring the direction needed to the unrestrained and unprecedented growth of data center development in Coweta County and Georgia, we believe the current version is not ready for implementation. We cannot support the draft data center ordinance as currently written, and we believe the ordinance deserves additional attention before this commission were to vote on the measure, and it sounds like you're going to do some more revisions, which is great. Data centers are industrial facilities and should only be allowed in industrial zones. Data centers are unlike other industrial developments. Data centers, including projects proposed here, have unprecedented water and energy demands. And when a community elects to bring multiple data centers and projects into a single community, the impacts and consequences can multiply. Because of these unprecedented natural resource demands and the proliferation of these facilities, they deserve additional oversight and scrutiny by local governments and community members. As such, it is unfortunate that the current draft data center ordinance no longer considers a data center conditional use in light industrial. This edit alone removes multiple layers and opportunities for community engagement by county decision makers and affected residents. Additionally, we approved of the proposed requirements that data centers be located in industrial districts, and those have, of course, been removed. I'm sorry, that didn't quite come out right. Finally, we recommend that in the future, commissioners and staff clearly articulate how public comments can be collected and presented for consideration by the commissioners and staff. It sounds like that is a recommendation here tonight, and we appreciate that in the interest of transparency. In closing, we appreciate the Commission's interest in drafting a data center ordinance. Other communities are clearly feeling the pressure from data center development. Over a half dozen communities in Georgia have instituted moratoriums and/or ordinances to improve community oversight of data centers and cryptocurrency operations. While we may not agree on the substance of the draft data center ordinance, we can agree that an ordinance is necessary for these resource-intensive industrial operations. These are local decisions that affect land use, water, and energy, and they should remain local decisions. So please give this draft data center ordinance a little more time to get it right, and I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Laura Beth.
Good evening, Laura Beth from District 2. While a data center ordinance tries to address noise, it does not address the primary cause of noise caused by data center. You now just suggested closed loop, which is the first time any one of the commissioners has brought this up. Open loop systems generate a lot of noise, and that's why we do not want it. We would like this ordinance to specifically state that any data center being built in Coweta County must use a closed loop system or another system that has noise at an ambient level of current the current issues. A closed-loop system uses far less water, and making this requirement is a step towards compromising over the massive resources data centers will use. It shows county residents that the county hears us and will address the reality of the finite natural resources in our community. This will also allow Coweta County residents to see data center developers are wanting to be good neighbors and stewards with the local resources for future generation. Data center developers should welcome this requirement. That is, unless they're here just to make money off the backs of local residents who will bear the burden of outdated cooling systems. As research shows, in the long run, closed-loop cooling systems are more cost-effective. It should be a red flag if a data center is willing to use cheap, ineffective, resource-consuming cooling systems that save little money up front. This is a sure sign they will flip the data center because they are not concerned with long-term savings. Coweta County has the opportunity to create a credible data center ordinance that we all can be proud of, one that addresses the magnitude of the significant change to our country, one that protects the residents of the county, not one rushed through, tipped in favor for developers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Stephen Jones.
Commissioners, good evening. My name is Stephen Jones. My address is 1600 Parkwood Circle, Suite 200, Atlanta, 30339. I have a few comments before you, but first, I'd like to say thank you for your efforts on this ordinance, and thank you to staff for their contributions to this ordinance. Number one, on the comp plan requirement, the section currently says currently adopted. That wording's a bit ambiguous. I'd ask that you say reference to the presently in effect at the time that an application is submitted, or that the use seeks to begin operation. I'd also ask that with respect to currently approved data centers or a data center that's later approved, that they are automatically deemed to be in the employment character area / employment center / industrial character area. Next, with respect to substation screening, the ordinance presently requires all substations to be screened due to their height. If you've seen, substations you see when you're driving down the road, it's practically impossible to screen them with anything except vegetation. So we'd ask that you make that clear, that the screening requirements on vegetation that can be planted and then grown up to screen substations. I think that's a very practical solution to that. With respect to height, most data centers are two-story structures, and there's also a need for equipment on the roof. Presently, a 66-foot high building can be achieved, I believe, with an administrative variance. It asks that you go up to 90 feet. Our understanding is that the fire department has the available apparatuses to serve such as a height of a building. With respect to noise, basing the noise tolerance on ambient noise creates ambiguity and uncertainty in the marketplace and for developers and hyperscalers and users of data centers. Other industrial uses are not treated to such rigorous noise requirements. If, for example, if you had one M district located next to another M district and one was used for a concrete, cement products, or clay manufacturer, you could have, and that's a permitted use under the ordinance, you could have a rock crusher on one property and then a data center on another. The data center is subject to one noise ordinance, the rock crusher is not. One suggested alternative to that is 65 decibels at a residential property line. That's a blank threshold. I do want to raise one point of caution, though. Sound meters are sensitive equipment, and using decibels as the threshold poses enforcement issues. But if you choose to go that route, then 65 decibels at a residential property line should be followed. With respect to utilities, the statement adequate capacity is available on the existing supply lines is ambiguous. For example, Georgia Power is acquiring the power necessary after its integrated resource plan to acquire the power, but supply and capacity lines means that there is the existing supply on the existing lines, which is quite difficult. So especially there's another point too, with respect to supply lines, you could have the required right-of-way, but the supply lines may need to be upgraded. So that should also be considered. Thank you so much, and I believe we've also tendered comments into the record to these effect. I appreciate you considering those. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Next.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Alejandro Columba.
Alejandro Anglomba, 35 Fair Oaks Court, Noonan, Georgia, District 2. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I asked you last time to move from the rural to industrial. I maintain my position. But I want to make a short comment that I heard. Don't allow anybody to judge your moral character, Mr. Chairman. You are good people. You listen to Hispanics, blacks, women, elderly, younger. You give time to everybody, you listen to everybody. I haven't seen any other staff like this staff who bent backwards to accommodate every single request from the people. And today I'm more satisfied because last time we talked about water.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is speaking and he needs to receive the respect. Whatever he says, we're listening to it. So I'm sorry that I have taken his time, and I'm going to allow him a little extra time if he needs it. But that is so disrespectful when you're laughing and making comments. We need to respect each other, folks. We really do.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
I'm
Chairman.
sorry.
I come from a third world country. We shouldn't descend to that. Let me say, a washing machine inside the house reaches 70 decibels of noise. A washing machine inside your house. Now, in this project, you have done something great, Mr. Chairman. Your staff saying we're going to move from 200 feet buffer zone to 300, thinking that sound loses 10.1 decibels every 100 feet. So by the time it reaches the fence, you will have in between 20 to 30 decibels of noise. So noise is one of the issues that have been resolved with this new added regulation. Moving from 200 to 300 will be fine not to have disturbances in any homeowner. Now, let me say this even further, Mr. Chairman. The issue of the water, I already cleared up, explained how other jurisdictions like Atlanta are allowed to use 300,000 gallons a day. And we are here to complain about 60,000 gallons when we are members of the Chattahoochee, Apalachicola, and Flint River. We have to make an effort, Mr. Chairman. I lost many cases, few cases with the county, and I don't complain. We learn to give. We need to give something to obtain something. We need to grow up again to make this county going forward like it is doing. I have children, and they are in the military. They want to work for the police department. They want to work for the sheriff department. But my son comes the other day and says, Dad, you know how much you offer me? I understand, son. Because we need to have revenue. Revenue will give us growth. It will give us a future. And our children will remain here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Gene Murphy.
Gene Murphy, Noonan, Georgia. I'm not involved with Project Sale, and I know a lot of these people in red shirts are, so I'll just say that as a disclaimer. But I'd like to talk about two things. One, I'm speaking in reference in favor of data centers because I'm involved from a commercial real estate standpoint. I'm licensed in 4 states and done projects in 15 states, so very, very familiar with working with commissions. But the thing I'd like to start with is the article I saw in this paper here. And I'd like to remind these people that these commissioners, I work with commissioners and city councils, these people are residents of our county, and they're doing this thing not to get rich.
Gene, address the chairman, please.
And basically, I'd like to say that all of these people are good people, and I have seen in this group a tremendous amount of study into this subject. And for everything that I've seen as a pro to the data center side, we've seen an option come up as far as citizens. So it's been well handled, okay? So I just remember that when we're talking about this, because I saw this as kind of one-sided and taking some of the commissioners to battle, and I disagree with that. Two things I'd like to say in reference to data centers. Again, working with other people, we are fortunate in reference to data centers that we have an interstate, I-85, that comes through here. And one of the things about data centers is you limit the amount of exposure to residential, so you have a good world. And putting them next to an interstate is actually something that we see as very popular and is very, very practical. So that's something I would recommend that possibly into this ordinance, is that we put some kind of a clause as to that as a qualification. The second thing I'd like to say, as far as the data center people, there was a concern about, with the co-ops, that there would be charges passed on to the consumers. Majority of these people are paying cash up front for any kind of development, and so there's no pass-throughs to the consumer. So I'd say that's something that needs to be known as well. The third thing I'd like to say is I agree that they should be adjacent to industrial. And one comment here is they reference the employment centers, industrial, is that any industrial then that's touching those that is rezoned industrial be included in that employment center automatically. So those are the comments I'd like to make. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all that's signed up in support, Mr. Chairman.
Those were in support.
We'll start with opposition.
Yes, please.
Okay. First is Laura Benz.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Laura Benz, 19 West Broad Street, Noonan. I'm here to give comments on the proposed ordinance. I've sent a letter to the county that you all should have received a copy of yesterday. I brought additional copies if you need to reference it. Given the short time frame, I'll focus my comments on just a few things. Obviously, the purpose of what we're here today is to talk about compliance with the zoning procedure law as well as due process. And so as such, the purpose is to provide meaningful comments from the public, and according to the DCA, those are also supposed to be referenced and addressed to ensure that the process reflects the community needs and values. As we would argue right now, the ordinance that's proposed does not have a substantial relation to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare, and therefore violates the requirements of due process as required by the zoning procedure law. One thing that I do want to point out to you is that this board is governed by their code of ethics that's set forth in the 232. One of those under subsection 8 requires that all development be done in accordance with sound planning, practical cooperation, and other local governments, institutes, state, and federal agencies. As the ordinance is proposed right now, it fails to address local ordinances as far as comp plans and the potential implications it could have to transportation. There's also no address of solid waste. There have been numerous public comments that have talked about the potential waste and how that will be addressed. From a state perspective, this county is part of the Metropolitan North Water Planning District. For those folks that know, anytime we're looking for getting a water permit, the state or EPD requires that we have a water audit for substantial compliance with the district plan. The Metro District has made recommendations and are formalizing recommendations for data center development. Specifically, I'm glad that Commissioner Rattlebach referenced the closed loop system. We would request that anything be done on a closed loop. However, even though a closed loop does drastically reduce, they still use about 100,000 gallons a day. So we would request that, once again, a conditional use permit be required for any data center. They should not be able to use, as of right, to be able to use valuable resources that are meant to serve the future and existing residents of Coweta County. From a federal perspective, very unknown laws that people seem to overlook are the Emergency Planning and Community Rights to Know Act. That's something that requires industrial users to have a plan, and they do coordination with the firefighters. That helps our first responders if there are chemicals or if there are types of situations that require special firefighting things. That also allows the public to know what type of materials are in those in those buildings next to them. The last thing I want to point out is there's confusion about light industrial versus industrial. The definition within our ordinance clearly says for light industrial, it is only to be used to provide appropriate locations for heavy commercial and light industrial uses, all of which shall be nuisance-free and not generators of hazardous waste. The fact that we're even having noise conditions in an ordinance shows the propensity for there to be a nuisance in a data center, so therefore they should all be in heavy industrial. Other suggestions for specific amendments are included in that letter. So we respectfully request those amendments. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Connie Litton.
Hello, my name is Connie Litton, and I live at 480 Wagers Mill Road. I am not sure how the new ordinance got written up, but I did put in a letter with specific things, and security was one of them, about cameras. So I don't know if you all picked and chose what you wanted to put into the new ordinance, or if you put everybody's concerns in there, but I know that mine were missing. All right. As you're developing a strong, solid ordinance for data centers in Coweta County, I feel like the concerns and problems that need to be addressed in the ordinance should be location dependent. What I mean by this, if you're building a data center in an already zoned industrial area, then the safeguards and protections put in place to address noise, lighting, construction, disturbances, harmful diesel fuel gases and chemicals released in the air by the generators, buffers, setbacks, construction noise, generator noise, etc., does not need to be as stringent compared to a data center that is being built on land being rezoned to meet the developer's wants and the property abuts to residential homes. All of the previous mentioned concerns are much more impactful and disruptive when they are near homes. Let's see. And they need to be addressed with stricter limitations or boundaries in order to protect the nearby residents from being exposed to the known nuisances that data centers bring to the area, as well as the health concerns relating to the air pollution from the massive generators that will be on site and required to be tested at least monthly, but I heard somebody up here say weekly. So if we're talking 300 to 400 generators on Project Cell site, how many hours are those generators going to run 5 days a week? And the same people are going to be inhaling that bad air. An ordinance that is written as one size fits all is just not appropriate. The proposed draft currently does not distinguish between data center locations. For example, I do not think it is necessary or even appropriate to expect data centers that are being built in industrial areas to be required to have the same size, buffers, setbacks as one next to homes. I also think that the size of data centers should be considered when developing in various locations. Due to the negative impacts on residents, I do not think it is appropriate to allow a hyperscale centers in these areas. I think footprint and acreage limitations should be set based on the location as well. The current proposed data center ordinance does not take location differences into consideration, and it is designed for all data centers regardless of whether they are built next to a residential home or a manufacturing warehouse. To protect the citizens of Coweta County, I ask you not to just research data centers, but to research the impacts based on the location and develop a strong ordinance that reflects these differences. And tonight, you all don't know this because you were up front, but people were turned down because this venue is not big enough. People are passionate about this. Your community is coming out. All of you have said, I want the citizens to be more involved. But tonight, there were some people that were first time coming out, and they were turned away because the venue's not big enough. So I think moving forward, if we can come up with a solution, because those people may never come back, because they may say,
we're going to address that issue here shortly.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Robert, 'Robert, 'Litton. 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 'Robert, '
Robert Litton, District 2. Good evening, commissioners and staff. Tonight, I'd like to talk about defining and labeling data center sizes. Unfortunately, when creating data center ordinances, one size does not fit all. In the same way that rules and regulations for schools, elementary schools versus high schools, you can't have the same set of rules for each student. When developing these ordinances, each category should be addressed. Data centers should be placed into 3 categories. The first category, the small-scale data center. A small-scale data center should not exceed 100,000 square feet in size and should not consume more than 2 megawatts of power daily. Small-scale data centers can be placed near residential dwellings if proper buffering, light, and noise disciplines are observed. The second category of the data center is considered a medium-sized facility. The footprint of this size data center is between 100,000 and 500,000 square feet and consumes between 2 and 100 megawatts of power daily. This size data center should not be located within at least a 1-mile radius of residential dwellings, and the ordinance for this size data center should be slightly relaxed due to the 1-mile radius requirement. The third type of data center category is the large or hyperscale. This category includes facilities that exceeds 500,000 square feet in size and consumes more than 100 megawatts of power daily. Large or hyperscale data centers should only be placed in existing industrial areas with close proximity to major transportation highways. If these types of data centers are located, as previously mentioned, the ordinances should be less restrictive. I also urge the commissioners and staff to solicit input from data center developers and experts to determine and define the size and category labels. In conclusion, I would like to say that staff and commissioners, please give the same amount of gravity and weight to the citizens and their concerns as you do the developers of these data centers. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Neil Wolf.
He's coming. Hang on just a second. Technical swap. Oh, whoop.
Is that good? Oh, yeah, that's nice. All right, good evening. Neil Wolf, 144 Thompson Street. Just wanted to provide a brief summary of the red line comments that I've submitted to you guys via email this week. But before I start, and I might be the only person in this room who thinks this, but let me note that I'm firmly against data centers. More than 90% of data center capacity is and is planning to be focused on enabling AI, which, based on what we're hearing from the people who stand to profit from it the most, represent a threat to our national security, social and economic freedoms, and democracy. That being said, I'm also a realist. So if we're here to watch a billionaire techno-fascist state take hold, let's at least minimize the impacts to our local community the best way we can. I'm a glass half full guy. As reflected in my red line comments, the ordinance needs to address the following. The specific exclusion of crypto mining activities from the data center language, enforcement mechanisms for exceedances of the noise limit, noise levels and operating restrictions for construction activities, noise limits on generator testing and maintenance activities, precise definitions on on-site power generation to avoid circumventing state and federal air quality laws, preserving existing ambient nighttime light levels, detailed waste stream accounting, especially hazardous and electronic waste, safe storage of large-scale on-site generator fuels and emergency procedures, securing environmental bonds to address future site remediation efforts, special procedures, equipment, and training for emergency responders that cover large-scale computer facilities, requirement of Tier 4 final emission standards for all construction vehicles and generators, preventing and tracking ground and municipal water contamination from PFAS and other toxic fluorinated compounds frequently found near computer facilities, guarantees that facilities will not take priority to citizens consumers of water and electricity, enhance compensatory mitigation offset requirements for impacted natural resources like wetlands and species. So I listed about 18 here. There's a lot more in there. I'm sure some of you have already taken. All right, but given the level of great interest here tonight, I'm optimistic that you will carefully take all these under advisement and that the next version of the draft ordinance will be better to address the community's concerns. Thank you.
All right.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Ben Calloway.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to participate with the rest of my residents here in Coweta County. I live at 5 Renkin Way in Noonan. I don't have a lot of the data at hand or the first-hand knowledge of the technology, but I am going to tell you, I don't think we need to chase the revenue that we expect to be generated from this. I think there's a reason why communities across our country are pushing back on data centers. I'm concerned about the environmental impact, and I don't think we need it. You can have the rest of my time back, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, James Shepard.
Hey everybody, I'm James Shepard. I'm from District 5. And just a little bit of background. Well, first off, I really appreciate the time that y'all put into this. I know that you all have the best interests of the county at heart, or at least I hope you do. And I've been working in technology for pretty much my entire career, either as a consultant or as an attorney. And so I've dealt with a lot of these data centers in the past. And when we're looking at this kind of ordinance and trying to figure out how to deal with it, one of the things that we've heard, and this is kind of the takeaway from a lot of the things you've heard tonight, is that we're not adequately pricing the costs of this to the community. Now, I understand that we've got all of these revenue projections, all these cost projections. When we're talking about what the costs are going to be, both in environmental terms and in financial terms, in terms of what we have to do in building new infrastructure to facilitate this, there are two ways that can be paid for. One is that the company pays for it, and they kind of do the full amount that they need to offset all of those costs from all of those different perspectives. Or the citizens are going to pay for it one way or another, whether that's through increased taxes that go towards whatever cleanup is required, the infrastructure builds, or through reduced quality of life. And I just frankly don't think that looking at the way that this ordinance is constructed, that we're properly pricing the risk and the cost of this facility. I also think we're dramatically overstating the revenue that's going to come from this. I think it's at least 20% high, but that's just based on kind of comparative comparisons to other counties. So when we're looking at this and pricing out the cost of this, any of these data centers, in addition to the environmental costs, the infrastructure costs, how much it's going to cost all of us and increased power, water, whatever that is, we also have to factor in the cost of the risk, the price of the risk that any of these will go bankrupt. That this facility, that in 5 years there's some massive computational breakthrough that renders this facility obsolete and leaves us with a bankrupt entity underneath it, that then we end up taking on the full cost of decommissioning the facility or dealing with the leftover environmental degradation and all of the reduced property values and things like that. So as we're going towards any ordinance, or whether we're considering how we want to deal with these at all, I would encourage all of you to take a second and a third look at the costs that we're trying to factor into this, make sure that the citizens are not paying for it, because I know we don't want to, and that we have some kind of mechanism by which we can ensure that if these entities go bankrupt, which is a significant risk considering the pace of technology and the amount of specialization that goes into the form factors for these data centers, we need to be pricing that in and making sure that these companies are contributing not only to our existing infrastructure and the new infrastructure they require, but to the risk that they'll go bankrupt and leave us holding the bag. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you looking at this.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Ron Bachrath.
Hello again, Ron Bachrath, District 2 on 335 Boone Road. I've spoken to you a number of times, and one of the things that really concerns me is you think that this is money is all there. And if you look on the internet, thank you, not just Facebook, and you can get good information on Facebook whether you believe it or not. You just have to look at what references are there. If you do, you can learn a heck of a lot. I've been doing this now since January when I first heard about this. I've asked you to think and look back and what have other states and places where these things have been built, what are they doing? They're having second thoughts. In some cases, they had thought they were going to be getting revenue, and well, in their locality, a bank didn't have to pay that revenue. They got nothing. In other places, federal government occupied these facilities. They didn't get anything either. The data centers probably, or the Prologis probably already knows who their customer is. They haven't told you, or at least that we're aware of. Why not? Because then you might be able to check, hey, is this real or is this a bunch of bullshit? Sorry.
Clean it up just a little bit, Ron.
Please?
Carry on.
Okay. Like I said, I really wish you'd look at what is going on. Do some research. And you don't have to invent everything here. You don't need, when I was working, if we didn't look at what was available before we were working on a project, you'd get fired. You don't have to write everything from scratch. Learn from other people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ron.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Carolyn Wynn.
Afternoon, well, evening now, sorry, Commissioners. Pleasure to see you guys. I am Carolyn Wynn, 206 Vine Street, Palmetto, Georgia, so I live right there in that gulch. My thing would be, far as I applaud you for trying to do something on the ordinance that is definitely needed, something that we could carry over to our own city, but it doesn't go far enough. I am a resident of Coweta as well. I do agree with the decommissioning bonds because that is something that is incredibly important. I would ask that you really put that in consideration as far as the obsolescence, because even just as we speak, 2 weeks ago, Willow, you may not be know what Willow is. Willow is part of IBM. She is a quantum computer, and she makes what obsolete? Data centers. And she made a very large quantum leap, we'll do it like that, last week, to a number I have never heard of, and I went to Georgia Tech, in the number of years that it would take to do that as a computation. So that is something that you should take in consideration. It takes our Project Peach will take 15 years to build. Probably by the time Project Peach is built, it's not going to be needed. So now you have space. So you need some form of decommissioned bonds. Also, I would like to know if this is going to apply for us as well, of course. There is my selfish part of that. But I am standing with you guys, Sale. And then also, I would just like for you to ask, please listen to everyone that is here, and and make sure that they have a voice that you hear. I know that your job is difficult. I understand that it can be hard, but also it is important that you listen to them. I know what it's like when people go where they're not listened to. So definitely try to do that. And again, look up Willow, because Willow and also a couple of other quantum commuters, Beast, they're in the works, and they don't need all this. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Janine West.
Ms. West? She left? Okay.
That's all that's signed up, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Before we move forward, I would like to ask my fellow commissioners, given the overwhelming feedback regarding the draft data center ordinance, I'd like to make a motion that the board continue the public hearing until Tuesday, October the 7th, and that we schedule a work session where that we will also entertain comments from the public on Thursday, September the 11th at 6 p.m. And I'd like to move the venue to the fairgrounds. I believe that Mr. Fouts has checked that location for me. And as I said, to receive as much information as we can. But that is my motion.
I just have one question, Chairman. Does that comply?
So
Does that comply
if
with
the
law?
board is going to receive public comment at that, then you need to continue to that meeting.
Okay.
Okay? And then at that meeting, y'all can then continue it, if it's
To
the
the
board's
October
pleasure,
7th.
to the next one.
Okay,
Yes, sir,
sure.
yeah. Otherwise, you would not technically be able to consider those public comments, and we don't want that.
Okay.
So how do we word this motion then, Mr.?
Mr. Hanley and I were discussing, we didn't hear the date, but the motion would be to continue it to the
September 11th.
September 11th.
Right.
Okay.
And then again, at that meeting, you would
We-
continue it to October 6th.
Right, because we will have received, and then we
gotcha,
need
okay.
to be able to put those comments into some form of an ordinance.
Right.
Right?
For public view prior to the...
I'll second that.
And that is to take it to the fairgrounds.
Continue this to the fairgrounds for public comment. Yeah.
All right. That is my motion, and I have a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Not hearing any, the motion carries unanimously, and the public hearing will continue until September the 11th, Thursday, September the 11th at 6 p.m. at the fairgrounds.
September 11th. We'll continue.
We'll continue from there.
Yeah.
6 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. We've been going for about almost 3 hours, so then we'll finish up our meeting. Oh, will? All right.
You good, you gotta get here. Here's a real pain.
We're going to continue on with the agenda. I'm sorry, thank you. We're going to continue on with the agenda. We're on item number 8. This is the third and final public hearing regarding the proposed 2025 millage rates. Mr. Fouts, I believe you're going to make the presentation.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I know you're getting tired of me after 2 previous presentations.
Never.
I'll try to be brief regarding this specifically. I'll try to be brief. First of all, as the board knows, you're empowered to pass the tax rate or the millage rate as a levying authority. And if you consider a millage rate that's higher than the state calculated rollback, you are required to have 3 public hearings. As the chairman stated earlier, this is the third of the 3 required public hearings. I'll briefly talk about a couple things and then really get to the millage rates and see if you have any questions. First of all, there have been a few changes since last year, and I think this is probably the most important thing to point out. In 2024, the General Assembly passed House Bill 581, limiting the increases on appraised value for residential property, which was known as what we call the floating homestead exemption. In that same year, in November, Georgia voters approved the referendum, passing the floating homestead, which then became a local decision for whether to stay in or opt out. Also, as a consideration with House Bill 92 that was passed earlier this year, the Georgia Department of Revenue ruled that only county school system maintenance and operations, or as we call them, M&O levies, would be permitted on the state promulgated 2025 Notice of Assessment. Again, in years past, you would see the county M&O, the school system M&O, and then any special service districts. This year is the first time those were removed. I just wanted to point out that was not a decision by this body or the school board or the tax commissioner. That was a decision by the state. And then the last change was the creation of 3 special service districts. We've talked about that pretty extensively, so we'll not go into the details of that. We've talked about this before, a lot of parties involved, so I won't go through the details. I will just point out that tonight is the final portion of the process. And again, we've talked about this. This process starts in July, culminates here in August, and then finally in September, where the tax commissioner submits the digest. For the purpose of those watching and in attendance, the tax digest for Coweta County or for any local government is the combined value or assessed value of all the property. So that includes real and personal and other property categories. This illustration here is one of the forms that the tax commissioner provides. It just shows the total value of those classes. I'll skip this just for purposes of brevity. We talked about the schedule. We are here tonight for the final portion. This illustration just shows oftentimes the tax bill is sent to our taxpayers, and we do have a consolidated bill here in Coweta County, so that tax bill does include the school system, and if you're in a city, it does include the city levy. So oftentimes you all or staff get called saying all these taxes are getting brought to the county, when in fact, as illustrated here, on a given dollar of property tax revenue, 66 cents goes to the school system based on the 2024 rates. 20 cents on the dollar to the county M&O, about 13 cents for county fire, and basically a cent for county bond.
Is that standard across states that we are contiguous with?
It is. If you look at the millage rates, which is one of the myths, you'll look at school board millage rates, and they are substantially higher in most cases because the cost to educate is more than typical local governments. So that is pretty standard.
Okay, thank you. That's amazing to think that that the school system is spending more money than the county is.
Very quickly, this table shows the 2025 countywide preliminary tax digest. Again, I mentioned earlier several property classes there on the left under the description. You can see the digest value for 2024. The middle column shows the reassessment, or a lot of people call it the inflationary growth. The other is really new growth, so that's new homes, new commercial starts, basement finishes, additions, renovations, things of that nature. And then you can see how the total is for 2025. So year over year, about $457 or $458 million growth from year to year. Just a couple quick misconceptions or myths, things that we hear often because this process is sometimes confusing. First of all, is the vote last year was one of the myths is that would freeze property taxes, and that's simply not true. As I stated earlier, that referendum is to freeze or excuse me, limit the amount of valuation increases on residential property. It does not cap the millage rate or the associated property taxes. I have two illustrations on the floating homestead. In example one here, you can see this piece of property. By the way, this is a 2025 notice of assessment. You can see this property is appraised at $169,357 last year. This year is $166,777, so a small reduction. But you see where the arrow is pointing, this property owner will receive the standard $10,000 homestead exemption. Under example number 2, you see similar information. In this case, the property was increased by roughly $13,000, $14,000, and you see that the homestead exemption has gone up in this category. That's the effect of the floating homestead. In both examples, you also notice that the school M&O is the same at $2,000, and that's simply because they opted out of participating in the floating homestead. So again, just pointing out for those that received their notice earlier in the year and saw some of these metrics, kind of what's happening behind the scenes. This is just showing or highlighting the red there, the impact of the floating homestead. So from 24 to 25, about 192 million of that is a result of the floating homestead reevaluation. The 193 million of that would be inflationary or reassessment on other types of property, so non-homestead, commercial, industrial, whatnot. Another myth that we hear often is that the citizens pay the highest taxes in Georgia. We could sit here and go through a lot of data all night and show you why that's not true. But the simple fact is, you know, citizens go out to the Department of Revenue and they have all the millage rates published for many, many years. You can go and compare those, and I would encourage those to do so because that's simply not true. Also, we hear that the budget process is not transparent to the public. This past year, as well as most years in the past, the board has held work sessions. In this case, we held 2 work sessions here in the chambers. Both of those were open to the public. They were streamed online. They're still available online for viewing. And then all the documents associated with the budget throughout the process is posted on the website. And of course, they're available in printed hard copy if any citizen were to come to our office. This just shows where to find those documents. Another thing we hear a lot is the growth of SPLOST revenue. We have been fortunate that sales tax revenue has increased substantially over the years. Coweta County has been fortunate to have a SPLOST referendum since 1986, and that has afforded the citizens a great quality of life and a reduction in capital expenditures. But the fact is that SPLOST revenue can only be used for capital expenditures, so they cannot be used for operating cost. And as this board knows, the lion's share of the operating budget is personnel and benefits. So we cannot use that to pay for staff and increase costs of fuel, health insurance, general liability, those things that all of us face, both as taxpayers and as homeowners. Again, a lot of information on the website about SPLOST. Encourage anyone that's interested. In addition to reports that are available that show the actual expenditures, there's also a list of the projects for the 2025 SPLOST program that's available. Another thing we hear a lot, and obviously we've seen a lot of growth and activity for many, many years here in Coweta, is that the new development activity should be provide adequate revenue for each year. And in our case, majority of our digest is residential property class, and the cost to provide services to residential is simply more than other property types. And I know we're currently working on a third-party study that would be provided to the board about cost of services, but others that we've seen in effect, for every dollar of property tax revenue for residential, it costs more than $1 to provide those services. So when you have too heavy of a digest for residential, it simply is going to cost more. This is the 24 digest by property class. So you can see, as I mentioned, it's 69% residential, second by commercial, and then 7% roughly industrial. This is the example. So if you take the preliminary digest for this year, I mentioned earlier about $242 million of new growth, so about 2% of that growth. If you take that and multiply it out for a millage rate, an example would be the 25 rollback, that 4.601 mills. That would equate to just over $1 million of new revenue. But as I mentioned, the cost of inflation for the services that we provide is well above that small portion. So it's simply not enough revenue. Also, you can see this in the actual growth as broken out by property class. So for 2025, of the new growth, 71.5% of that is residential in nature. So again, think about the whole pie, 69% is residential total, but then going forward, 71% of the growth is also residential. So that pie, that residential portion is really growing. So that cost to provide service is going up. Also, we hear about the taxes going up, but also the millage rate. So this is just, the next slide here is just showing for 3 out of the past 5 years, the board enacted or took the rollback rate. So 2020, 21, and 23, the rollback rate was adopted. And then you can see in 22 and 24, a slight increase was adopted. I will point out, and you'll see it in another slide here in a second, but even though the board adopted a rate in 2024 of 4.688 mils, which as shown is a 5.6% increase, the board also used nearly $5 million of fund balance. So that would have increased this substantially should the board have not used fund balance. And of course, as proposed for this year, it's about a 4.69% increase. Very quickly, one of the things we like to do, obviously, is show the comparison year over year in terms of budget. I mentioned earlier that we established 3 new service districts. So this chart will look different going forward, but for comparative purposes, if you look in the 2025 column, the general fund needed $46.8 million to balance the proposed budget for FY25, and that also did not include the $4.5 or almost $5 million of fund balance. So for 2026, we need just north of $61 or $62 million to balance the budget. So you can see the impact year over year. Again, we've talked about this in the budget process, so I won't belabor it, but those services and those funds that you see there would have been included in the general fund if they were not broken out. So it's not like by breaking them out into new services that it brought about new costs. It's just it's showing it differently. Also, one of the things that we're required to do is when we advertise for an increase, we have to obtain the average value property for homestead and non-homestead based on the information provided by the assessor's office this year. $400,000 is the average home with homestead and $375,000 without. So if you follow the chart, you can see in 2024 the millage rate 4.688 mils. So a $400,000 home with homestead would have paid about $703.20. And you can see the impact as proposed. So it's about $187 a year or year over year change, or $15 a month. So that's the impact. Same calculation for the property without homestead. Also want to point out that for those in the unincorporated area and those in municipalities where they receive fire district services by contract, the rates are a little different because there is a proposed reduction in the fire district rate this year. So you can see the impact for those property owners would be $126 year over year, or $10 a month. Same information. This is the proposed budget that the board tentatively adopted, which we'll talk about a little later in the agenda. Again, just to show that year over year, the general fund budget by function is only proposed to increase by 2%. So again, I just wanted to point out, you saw earlier the big increase in revenue or costs for property taxes, but it's not just derived from the general fund. Very quickly, the steps that we take to calculate the millage rate. We talked earlier, we put together a draft budget, bring that to the board for consideration. We also develop a non-property tax revenue projections. The table on the right shows the description of that non-property tax. You can see the lion's share of that is sales tax, almost 27 million of that. That is what most people call here lost local option sales tax. So that's a direct reduction for property owners. And you can see the other categories. Excuse me, I do want to point out, obviously this board has approved a referendum to go forth in November for a floating local option sales tax, or FLOST, another acronym. But if that referendum is approved and collections begin next year, you will see another line item of revenue, non-property tax revenue, that's calculated. So people are asking, how does that impact property taxes? Well, this is exactly how. So instead of $67.2 million, next year there will be another revenue source, which we project to be approximately another $27 million. So that'll reduce the impact of what's needed for property taxes. The final step is really to take that proposed budget, subtract the non-property tax revenues to derive basically the net of what's needed. And then we take that amount and divide it by the net digest to come up with the millage rate. Finally, these are the proposed rates. So the general M&O at 4.817 mils, countywide Parks and Rec 0.397 mils, countywide 911 0.321 mils, countywide EMS 0.402 mils, fire district 2.5 mils, and then the fire bond 0.189. And that concludes my presentation unless the board has any questions.
Any board members? Anybody got a question for Mr. Bounce?
I've got a brief question. Is there any fiscally responsible way to not have a millage rate increase this year?
Commissioner Blackburn, we would have to look at that, but I would say the only way to do that are substantial cuts to service. And by that, I would say you'd have to look at your departments, and that would impact personnel. That is the lion's share of our costs.
I might should have added, in any way that wouldn't have hurt our sheriff's office or fire and rescue, et cetera.
Yes, sir. Last year, this body, of course, decided to take a different millage rate, and there were reductions in hours, things like compactor sites and gyms to Parks and Rec. And so there are some small things that can be done if that's the desire of this board, but I would say they have a pretty minimal impact unless you begin cutting the lion's share, which is personnel and benefits.
But if we see a rosier economic future for the nation and for Coweta, it should bode well for taxes on the, next year's coming.
Yes, sir. Increasing the tax digest, as I mentioned earlier, the lion's share, that's residential. So by continuing to build more residential than industry, it's going to be lopsided. So the costs are going to go up to provide service. You mentioned law and fire specifically. Those take a lot of people, and I think the tax.
Pay that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Faust, is there anyone wishing to speak in support of the proposed millage rate that have signed up? No one?
Mr. Chairman, my staff's saying no one signed up.
All right. How about in opposition? I would call for a motion to close the final public hearing.
Motion to close. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of closing the public hearings, say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously.
So I would like to make a motion that we adopt the budget as presented.
All right.
The millage rate, you mean?
The millage rate.
I'm sorry, did I say budget?
Yes.
That'll come later, Commissioner
That'll come
Smith.
later.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt the millage rate as presented.
I second that motion. Any further discussion? I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. 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 All opposed? Not hearing any, motion carries unanimously. Item number 9, and let me.
We just did 9.
Oh, that's right. I was wondering what it dropped off. All right, we're going into the public comments for items on the agenda. And in accordance to the rules governing the meeting, up to 10 speakers will be afforded 3 minutes to speak. Also, I remind everyone, please be courteous and respectful as we hear anyone who wishes to come and speak on the items that are on the agenda. Item number 10, recommend approval.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a few people signed up to speak.
I always do that. I think we're going to discuss it during this item 10, but we hear them all and then we go from there. All right.
The first, Mr. Chairman, is Rhonda Benzizi.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Board. My name is Rhonda Benizzi. We live at 56 Valleyfin Way in the new Crestwind subdivision, right off of Noonan Crossing Bypass. Our request this evening is for a 5-foot variance to put in a pool. We moved here from Florida and have used our pool for exercise and enjoyment for many years and wanted to put a pool in here. Our builder assured us that we would have 20 feet of usable space in our backyard for a pool. They did not take into consideration the easement that's there for drainage, and therefore we request an additional 5-foot variance off the house so that we can put in the pool and take care of where the variance is and not infringe upon that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Ed Benzizi, would you like?
56 Ballyfin Way, Noonan. My wife just said everything I was going to say.
Okay.
Saves us a little time. Thank you.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Ed Smith.
I'm Ed Smith, 66 Ballyfin. I live just 2 doors down from these neighbors here, and we see no problem with the pool in the community, and it should be very positive for us in the development that we're building in now. So I support it, and would ask you guys to consider accepting a request. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
That's all for items on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So now we can go back and deal with the items. Item number 10, recommend approval of petition VAR 25-15 filed by Sean Wedderburn, requesting a minimum lot width at front setback variance for property located off Tanglewood Road, Noonan, District 3. Ms. Eschman, I believe you're going to present it.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, administration, staff, and citizen. As you mentioned, tonight's discussion is regarding variance 25-015. The applicant, Sean Wedderburn, is requesting a variance under Article 23, which is our dimensional requirements, to reduce the required minimum lot width at the front setback line from 130 feet to 80 feet. This is a reduction of 50 feet. The subject property is approximately 6.42 acres located off Tanglewood Road on a portion of Lot 33 in the Cedar Creek Farms development and is zoned CC, Cedar Creek. The owner is in the early stages of constructing a 2-story, 1,800 square foot single-family dwelling. You can see from the pictures here. According to the site plan, the home is set back approximately 77 feet from the front property line. So as you see here, home is set up approximately 77 feet from this front property line. However, Article 23 requires a minimum lot width of 130 feet at the front setback line. This is defined as the distance between side lot lines measured at the front yard setback. The subject property lot has a lot width of approximately 80 feet from here to here along a Tanglewood Road. To comply with the ordinance, the home would need to be placed approximately 480 feet from the front property line deep into the lot. Therefore, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow the reduced 80-foot width at the current building location that you see here. As mentioned, the property does lie within our Cedar Creek Watershed Protection District and is subject to several constraints, including a designated floodplain that's outlined here, a surface drainage features, a creek, and a 150-foot impervious surface stream buffer that you see outlined here. At the public hearing held on July the 24th, 2025, the Board of Zoning Appeals recommended approval for the variance request subject to the following conditions. 1, the minimum lot width at the front setback line shall be 80 foot. 2, the proposed home shall be located no less than 185 feet from the front property line along Tanglewood Road. During the public hearing, we did have 3 individuals that spoke in opposition, and we had 7 additional individuals which submitted audience participation forms expressing their objections. Are there any questions for myself or staff?
Lisa, has there been a soil study submitted to the county on this lot?
Yes, and they have received septic approval from environmental health for a septic system as well.
Okay, thank you.
At that location.
That based on that location?
At the proposed location that the house is out now, yes.
And the houses that are beside, on either side, what is the setback for them?
So I've got the slide up for you here. The property to the north, it approximately sits 130 feet from the front property line along Tanglewood Road. The property to the south is an angle here, and it sits approximately 240 feet along Tanglewood, from the front property line along Tanglewood Road.
And they want to set 130 back?
They want to average, so at the discussion during the public hearing, it was discussed that they would rather them average the placement of the proposed home based on the average of the northern and the southern northern and southern properties.
Which would be an 80 feet step back.
Would be 185 feet from the front property line.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I apologize. We did have a citizen that signed up, and I just realized, I believe he wants to speak on this item. It's on the item, if the board would like to hear him.
If he's signed up, I think we need to hear.
Okay, and I apologize. It didn't indicate on our sheet earlier, but that's Chris Peter. If you'd like to speak.
Peter? Your name and address, please?
Good evening. My name is Chris Peter. I live at 44 Tanglewood Road, which is in District 3. We, many of our neighbors came to the zoning meeting, and our feelings are, well, and we sent you emails letting you know how we felt about this to all the commissioners. Our feeling is that they should be required to follow the zoning requirements. Everyone on Tanglewood Road has had to follow the zoning requirements. Anyone who's been asked for a variance has been denied. We feel strongly that they should not be allowed to do the setback of 80 feet. We were pleased with the 185 feet, and it was determined that they could put their septic system in the front of the house rather than in the back of the house. So all we ask is that you take all these things into consideration and that you don't allow them to do the 80-foot setback from Tanglewood. If the thought is 185 feet, that is definitely better than the 80 feet, and that's where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, so the variance is requesting a minimum lot width at the front setback line to be 80 feet. So if I could show you just a little bit of information on what that means. If you go back here, so minimum lot width is from this side lot to this sideline to this sideline. So the ordinance requires it to be 180 feet before the house can set back behind, before the front setback can start. If we push the house back this far, it's going to encroach into the floodplain and to the stream buffer.
But I thought if he went back that far that he was going to put the septic tank in the front yard. Why would he be putting it back in that floodplain?
I believe as proposed and conditioned by BOZA, it's to move it back 185 feet, and then the septic would be in the front yard of that. So somewhere in between the right-of-way and the 185 feet, if I understand that correctly.
That is correct. That was the discussion at BOZA. So he has an approval from environmental health for a septic. We anticipate it's behind here. It's behind the home. So the discussion was if he moved the house back to 185 feet from the front property line along Tanglewood Road, then he would be averaged from the north and the south, and then the septic would just be in the front yard versus the rear yard.
And is that what I think what they're in favor of versus this?
They are in favor, but
do me a favor. Can you read me Bose's decision? I could pull it up,
Yes.
but
Bose's decision was to recommend approval with two conditions. One, the minimum lot width at the front setback line shall be 80 feet.
And did they meet? Does this meet that?
No, sir. That's why he's filing the variance.
Okay.
But this is what Bose is recommending.
Right.
Yes, this is yes, this is what
So
Bose is
they
recommending.
basically are not recommending, okay, then I'll make a
Right.
motion to.
Right. And then they proposed the home shall be located no less than 185 feet from the front property line along Tanglewood Road.
And we understand that if we go that route, the septic tank's gonna be in the front yard, not in the backyard. I mean, I just want
And that's I think it's what Bose is recommending.
to.
I'm sorry, can you go back to this photograph that you had originally? It looked like there was a foundation being formed on the property.
Photo.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is that, that's the form for the slab for the house?
That is the form for the house. The foundation has not been poured yet. That's just formed.
Okay, so they're gonna have to move that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Was it permitted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, the site prep permit was issued in error. You see the setback's a unique situation. The staff member didn't realize that it had to meet certain width before the measurement started from the right-of-way, so it was granted erroneously. And so there was a complaint filed, code enforcement went out, and that's when this was discovered. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
And legally, we can ask him or them to remove that.
Yes.
Okay. What's your?
So I'll make a motion to take the recommendations from Bose on this particular situation.
With the two conditions.
With the two conditions, yeah.
Yes, I'd second that motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign?
Aye.
Okay. It carries 4-1.
Is that a nay?
Yeah.
Against?
Yeah, yeah. And, all right, then our next business is recommend, I believe we're number 11 now, recommend approval of petition VAR 25-14 filed by Edward Bazina, requesting a distance between buildings variance for property located at 56 Bailey Finn Way, Noonan, District 2. Ms. Blackwell, I believe you're going to present.
So tonight I'll be presenting variance petition 2514 submitted by Edward Benizzi, who is requesting a variance under Article 4, Section 47 of the Coweta County Zoning and Development Ordinance. This section regulates the distance between buildings, including accessory structures like pools. According to the ordinance, accessory structures such as pools must be located at least 10 feet from the principal building or any other accessory structure. The applicant is seeking a variance to allow a 5-foot separation between the pool and the house, resulting in a 5-foot reduction. The applicant is unable to locate the pool further back due to a 20-foot drainage easement at the rear of the property, which cannot be encroached upon. So that's why they're wishing to go 5 feet closer to the house. At the public hearing held on July 24th, 2025, The Board of Zoning Appeals recommended approval of variance 2514 by a unanimous vote, subject to the following conditions. 1, the pool shall be located no closer than 5 feet from the principal dwelling and shall comply with all other applicable setback and development requirements. And 2, the applicant shall meet all the requirements of the Community Development Building Permits and Inspection Division. 4 people spoke in support of the variance, and while no one spoke in opposition at the public hearing, staff did receive 3 anonymous phone calls in opposition.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to follow Bose's recommendations with those conditions.
Second the motion.
All right. And is there any further discussion? Any questions?
How y'all gonna put the fence up if the pool is 5 feet from the house?
The fence is already up. It's installed with a 5-foot requirement for a pool.
Okay.
Ben, didn't there used to not even be a setback for pools, did it?
Well,
Back in the day?
yes, sir. The pool is considered a building by definition in our zoning ordinance. If you read our zoning ordinance, accessory building definition does include pool and has since 1990.
But in days gone by, you could run it right up to the proproperty line. As long as you had a fence around it.
Maybe a long, long time ago.
I'm old.
1990 is a long time for some folks. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign. Not hearing any, the motion carries, and it is approved unanimously.
Thank you very much.
All right, item number 12, request acceptance of additional right-of-way and greenway along Smoky Road at Smoky Hills Estate, Track B, Noonan, District 2. I'd like to make a motion to approve that.
Second.
And I have a second. Is there any further discussion? Not hearing it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like sign. Not hearing any, the motion carries unanimously. Item number 13, request approval execution of a deed of open space restriction and easement over private right-of-way for property located in Crestwind at Spring Haven Subdivision, Phase 2C, District 2. It is accepting open space, and I'd like also at that time, since it is in District 2, to make a motion to accept that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by a like sign. Not hearing any, the motion carries unanimously. In unfinished business, item number 14, decision regarding the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, and I would like to make a motion that we give that our fiscal year 2026 budget a permanent vote. So I make that motion to approve the 2026 budget. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. And the motion carries. Item number 15, request appointments by various boards and authorities. Are there any boards or authorities that the commissioners wish to fill at this time? All right, moving on to new business, bids and contracts. Bid award associated with striping, raised pavement markers, or RPMs, and pavement markings on various county roads. All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner,
Yes.
if we could this be contingent on final legal review, please? Thank you.
So we're going to continue it?
No, sir, contingent on final legal review.
Contingent on final legal review. All right, that's the motion. Do I have a second? All right. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by like sign. Not hearing any, the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Fouts. Number 17, request approval execution of the Indigent Defense Services Agreement with the Superior Court Public Defender. Mr. Fouts, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, this is the state fiscal year agreement with the Superior Court Public Defender's Office that began July 1st, 2025 and runs through June 30th, 2026. As we typically do, staff is proposing that you guys approve the budget as it was last year with a $23,000 increase in rent due to additional space that the Public Defender's Office was provided during fiscal year 2025. And then with approval of the county budget tonight, we will work with the Public Defender's Office to bring an amendment to this contract back to you guys that would be effective October 1st that adds the personnel that were approved in the county budget.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by same sign. Not hearing any, the motion carries. Additional action items is number 18, request to temporarily close McIntosh Trail at 12 Parks entrances for roundabout construction in District 2. So, Mr. Hanley, would you?
Yes, sir. The 12 Parks development that's under construction, one of the entrances, the developer's constructing a roundabout there on McIntosh Trail to serve two entrances that'll be across the street from each other. So in order to build that roundabout with the staging that has to take place, they've requested to temporarily close McIntosh Trail. Now, I made a mistake when I prepared this agenda item. We'd first began discussions about this temporary closure back in May. And at that time, the contractor was not ready to move forward, but they contacted us a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, we're ready to move forward if you'd put this on the agenda. I was working from memory, and I included 45 days for the closure, and it's actually, they've requested a 60-day closure. So I would like to amend this request to a maximum of 60 days for the temporary closure. Yes, sir. They'll have a detour in effect.
So the citizens will have an access or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There'll be a detour signed and with advanced message boards in place to let the motorists know at least a week ahead of time that what's going to occur.
All right. I'd make that motion with that maximum of 60 days. I have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I apologize to interrupt. It is related to 12 Parks. I know that some of the commissioners have received some inquiries about building a potential bridge in the 12 Parks development. I'll send the board some information, but in talking to our staff, both Community Development and Public Works, that connector, if you will, was included in the final plat for this development, and it is a zoning condition that the development be built substantially to the conformance of what was proposed. So staff does not feel that there is an opportunity without going through a rezoning, replatting to not build that. So I just wanted to share that. I'll send the information to the board so you can review it, but I know some of you received some inquiries about potentially not building that, so I just wanted to mention it.
Okay. I appreciate that information. All right. Did we vote? I forgot. Okay. I'm trying to get through this, folks. All right. Do what? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? You opposed, Bob?
No, I was just helping you out.
Oh, okay. The motion carries. Item number 19, request from the City of Harrelson for assistance with paving on Bill Estes Road, District 1. Do we need explanation for assistance, or do you have a?
I'd go along with that motion to approve request.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. The motion carries. Item number 20, request appointment of ACCG legislative voting delegate for the 2025 conference business session. And I would like to recommend and make a motion that Commissioner John Reidelbach be that voting delegate for the 2025 conference.
Motion to approve. Second motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by same sign, motion carries. Item number 21, request approval to utilize various county roads during the Unity Riders Pink Out Bike Ride. Who's doing that? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, organizers of the annual Unity Riders Bike Ride are requesting to utilize various county roads for their event on Saturday, October the 4th. The event will include approximately 65 riders on 3 routes consisting of 10, 20, and 30 miles, all in the western portion of the county. Each will begin and finish at the Coweta County Fairgrounds. A list of road was attached to the issue paper. The Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department, I believe, have signed off on it, and we have all of the paperwork back from the association.
Proud it's going to be out there, but I just hope they're careful. And I'm assuming that all the signs and that kind of stuff, that just to notify the motoring public that these bicycles are out there.
Motion to approve.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. Not hearing any, the motion carries. Then we have the supplemental request from the town of Moreland for assistance with signage, and that's in District 2. And if I can just say, they are asking for some help putting up some stop signs, and I would like to make a motion to approve that request. I have a motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign, motion carries. Now we're to the public comment section to ask for any public comments on any items not on the agenda, and in accordance to the rules governing the meeting, up to 10 speakers will be afforded 3 minutes to speak and will be respectfully heard by this board without public display or approval or disapproval from the audience. Maybe I should read that earlier on in the meeting, but anyway, the board does not engage with speakers during their comments. The board will listen to any questions or comments and take them into consideration, but will ask the county administrator or staff to correct any inconsistencies or false statements after the speaker has been heard without debate. Mr. Fouts.
We have a few, Mr. Chairman, that signed up, and I'm not sure if they're still with us, but the first is Bill Gittens. Just for the record, it said he was against project sale, so he may have left. The next is Marianne Pizzatola.
Good evening. My name is Marianne Pizzatola. I live in District 4. The Board of Commissioners currently only has a tiny section in their Code of Ethics for Commissioners. Chapter 2, Section 2-32, it addresses the conduct and expectations of the board at the local level. Earlier this year, Coweta County staff collaborated with the Board of Commissioners to amend Chapter 2. However, during the May 6th meeting, the Board of Commissioners voted 3-2 to postpone any discussion or a decision until a further meeting. Consequently, the board has not issued any instructions to staff since the May 6th meeting. I ask when that is going to come back up on the agenda. 1 second. Because in light of everything that's been reported recently in the Noonan Times Herald, Commissioner John Reidelbach recently filed a formal complaint against a Coweta County resident who analyzed the proposed data center site using publicly available state and federal data with standard environmental science methods. Instead of challenging the data or questioning the methodology, Reidelbach sought to have the resident reprimanded by his employer and urged him to issue a clarifying statement labeling the work as misinformation. Reidelbach did not send the email from his government-issued account. It came from his campaign account, as reported. It became available through open records process because the recipient is a government employee. Since the message was sent outside government official channels, it's unclear whether Reidelbach was expressing personal grievances or exerting his authority as an elected official. This is not the mark of a transparent decision-making process. It is a tactic designed to intimidate a citizen for exercising their right to question those in power, a right that is fundamental to our republic. Regardless of whether you support or oppose project sale, the principle is the same. If a government official can try to silence or punish someone for lawful speech, and then no one's opinion is safe. Today, it may be about a data center. Tomorrow, it could be about taxes, property rights, or any issue that matters to you. We deserve rigorous open government where questions are welcomed, not punished. Protecting those who raise legitimate concerns is not only a good governance, but essential to safeguarding our shared future. The First Amendment states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The last part is especially important here. If we allow intimidation to replace debate, we risk losing the civic culture that makes real problem solving possible. Coweta residents should demand better and insist their freedom of speech never be treated as a threat. I commend the Noonan Times-Herald for this editorial, and I ask Commissioner Reidelbach to apologize to that municipal worker, because no one should have to go through that. And if you can't do that, I respectfully ask for you to step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chairman, Verna Funk.
Verna Funk, Bob's district. I originally wanted to say to bring back impact fees, put it on the ballot and get impact fees. You know, with all the things that is planned and the old saying, if you build it, they'll come. Well, they're here and they're exploding, and our roads have pipes in the middle of 2 lanes. I've seen fire trucks that have to go around people because people don't know where to move on a 1-lane road, because now some places are 1 lanes because they're fixing something, or on Popular Road. You know, it was disheartening because one time it was an ambulance. You know, we need to get the roads, the infrastructure done before anything is built. If we're going to build it, let's get the roads and fix it. The schools, I know there's a city has asked for some space not that far from where I live so they can expand 639 houses. Great. The church across the street, they're looking forward to it. The schools would be the middle school, the high school, and you know, it's either build up or build out or build another school, but that's something else. And then 9/11, your meeting, you are helping the rest of the country to forget 9/11 and what happened to people in New York, Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon. On the 20th anniversary, I invited all of you, city, county. You never showed up. This is out of my pocket, that I try to get you to come and understand. The fire department and the police department in the city helped put on the first responders. That is dwindling. The ceremony is like almost to a joke that you guys don't, most of you people don't even show up. No one cares. We're seeing in New York, no one cares. And the whole idea of the global war on terrorism, you had a father who just recognized the 20th anniversary of his son being killed in action. Back in December, the first 2 Coweta residents, families that were affected by the attacks in New York and the Pentagon. We have ceremonies, but I had some people here that are supposed to be speaking. Guess where they're going to be? They're going to be protecting their homes. We should all be protecting the freedom of speech. We're supposed to be protecting our nation, our values. Our children are not learning this stuff. I had students over the years talk about learning more when they go and participate in the ceremonies than they do in school. My own son, 12th grade, did not know an answer for what happened on 9/11. And I do these ceremonies. And I've only missed 3 years. And one time, Irma, I was called by the fire department, the police department. They asked me, please cancel.
Thank
Remember
you.
it.
I am a 9/11 responder from the New York City Fire, and I will be in New York.
Also, that ceremony is normally held in the mornings. I've been to every one of them except one.
I serve your first responders breakfast, so I can't come anymore, but the thing is, to me, it's more important that I'm taking care of our first responders.
That same lady, The same lady just went down.
That's all that's signed to speak, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Is there any need for executive session?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we are adjourned.